Standing at the edge of the rooftop on the 33rd floor, the cold wind whips across my face. A torrent of unfamiliar memories suddenly crashes into my mind. Wow, I've time traveled. And now, I've become this guy with the same name as me, Yang-chun. Who would have thought? The original guy lived the most pathetic life you could imagine. For absolutely no reason, he ended up with a staggering 3 trillion yuan debt on his back. A puppet legal representative for the Sihai Corporation. Let's put it bluntly, he got played. Royally screwed over by that old fox Wang Sihai and his family. They ran off with the money, leaving the mess entirely to this naive guy. What's worse, his fiancée took 1 million yuan and vanished without a trace. The creditors? They knew exactly what was up. Even after liquidating the company's assets, there'd only be 1.5 trillion yuan, barely half of what's owed. But instead of letting it go, they set their sights on this poor sucker to take the fall as their scapegoat. Pushed to the brink, the original Yang-chun couldn't take it anymore. Hopeless and despondent, he decided to come up to this rooftop, intending to end it all. All I could do was curse in my head. What a loser. Down below, the place was surrounded by creditors. Not even a fly could get through. The bank manager, Li Jun, was yelling at me from below, begging me not to jump. The wind carried his voice away, making it a distant, incoherent echo. An old guy on the 20th floor, rubbernecking, tried to pass along the message, but by the time it got to me, the meaning was completely lost. The entire scene, pure chaos, just people adding fuel to the fire. That same old dude stuck half his body out the window and shouted, "Are you jumping or not?" As soon as those words left his mouth, the crowd below erupted into an uproar. Standing up there in the cold wind, something suddenly clicked for me. When you owe 30,000 yuan, you're afraid of the creditors. But when you owe 3 trillion yuan, it's the creditors who should be afraid of you. If I were to jump today, these people wouldn't see a single cent. At that exact moment, a cold, robotic voice echoed in my mind. Detected host's awakening mindset. System is binding. System name. You earned this debt, so why should you pay it back? The system finished binding, and as soon as it did, I swung my legs over the edge of the rooftop, now sitting on the protective railing. The creditors down below panicked immediately. Some even dropped to their knees, pleading with me. I scanned the chaotic crowd below and spoke slowly. I'm just an uneducated puppet of a legal representative. There's no way I can pay this money back. Li Jun, the bank manager, shouted anxiously, "As long as you're alive, we can work something out." I leaned forward, stepping a fraction closer to the edge, my voice becoming chillingly serious. And what if I'm dead? That was it. Pure panic. Everyone below totally lost it, frantically pleading with me to name my terms. I laid my card on the table. Hand over 67% of Sihai Corporation's controlling shares, the ones Wang Sihai holds. Give them all to me. I'll take over the company. If not, then there's nothing more to discuss today. Here's the processed content, maintaining the original structure, paragraph formatting, and layout. After speaking, I slightly leaned over the railing, causing the officer next to me to rush up and restrain me tightly. Li Jun's eyes were red as he glared at me fiercely. 24 hours, you're not allowed to die. The creditors exchanged looks, then finally nodded. The city government's 67% stake in the company was transferred to me. But it wasn't for free. Right there, they had me sign a performance agreement. 5 years, the financial gap must be filled. 8 years, the abandoned buildings must be resolved. 15 years, the debt ratio must be brought below 50%. Fail any one of these, and the equity would be seized back immediately. I didn't hesitate even for a second and signed the agreement on the spot. No sooner had I signed than a ding echoed in my mind. Mission activation complete. The buy low, sell high skill acquired. The scene before me quickly returned to normal. But truth be told, having the skill is one thing, having money is another. The most urgent problem now was still the startup capital. As soon as Wang Wenkong addressed me as Chairman Yang, I got straight to the point. I said, "Quickly transfer the shares to my name and lend me 1 billion. He froze immediately on hearing that. Another billion? I didn't beat around the bush. I shot back. Sihai Group doesn't even have a single penny in its accounts. Assets are frozen, and funds have been deducted. With what am I supposed to resume operations and production?" That question left him speechless. These old foxes, slick and cunning as they usually are, suddenly have nothing to say when it comes down to the wire. I patted him on the shoulder and spoke bluntly. To you all, it's just a matter of putting out another billion as a gamble. If it works, we solve a 3 trillion problem. If it fails, it's just another 1 billion in bad debt. With that, I turned and went back to my rented apartment. As soon as I got to the door, oh boy, there were dunning notices plastered all over it. Unpaid rent and utilities, totaling more than 10,000 yuan. I had barely entered the door when the system issued me another task. Borrow no less than 100 million in startup funds from various banks. Successful completion would reward me with incriminating evidence of the shareholders' and executives' illegal activities. Without any delay, I opened the creditors group chat and tagged a few bank managers. Each bank needs to loan me 200 million to restart production. The group chat instantly erupted. Some people outright cursed, saying it was impossible. Others claimed disciplinary officials would surely come knocking. What was even more absurd, other creditors started speaking up on my behalf. Their point was simple: without startup funds, Sihai Group couldn't possibly operate again. If you refuse to lend, fine, just switch to another cooperating bank and transfer all cash flow accounts elsewhere. The situation quickly stabilized. I had no patience for further chatter, so I shut my phone off and went to sleep. Not long after, Wang Wenkong called me. He said he'd brought a few bank managers to meet with me about loans. He also paid off my rent and utility bills on the side. Additionally, he arranged for me to move into Wang Sihai's confiscated villa. As soon as I hung up, the landlady showed up at my door. She knocked, demanding the overdue rent. I told her, "The mayor's coming to settle the bill soon." She started cursing, calling me a liar. As if that wasn't enough, she even called her family over. Her 16-year-old son came at me with a kitchen knife, demanding I compensate them for supposed damages. Looking at the scene in front of me, the frustration I'd been bottling up came rushing back. Years of enduring nonsense. Now even nobodies thought they could bully the honest. I wasn't about to waste words. I turned and went into the kitchen, grabbed a knife of my own, and confronted the kid. "If you're going to fight, do it properly. Lock the door." The survivor walks out. That kid, who was all swagger just seconds ago, suddenly went limp. Just then, the sound of car horns blaring from the street outside interrupted the standoff. Wang Wenkong had arrived with his entourage to pay off the bills. Hearing this, the landlady and her family bolted down the stairs to meet him. Once she saw Wang Wenkong, she immediately started pleading, saying she wasn't the only one charging extra fees, and that everyone else was doing it too. But before she could finish, the surrounding neighbors started yelling at her to stop dragging everyone down with her. I seized the moment to add, "Mayor Wang, most people renting here are workers just trying to make a living. These greedy landlords shouldn't be allowed to exploit them anymore." The tenants, who had been silently watching, finally found courage. They all chimed in, recounting how they'd been ripped off too. Some said their deposit was never returned. Others claimed they had to pay extra fees. Hearing all this, Wang Wenkong's face darkened in an instant. He immediately called in the housing authority. The landlady panicked, repeatedly apologizing, offering to refund deposits and waive my rent for 6 months, begging for the matter to end there. But Wang Wenkong wasn't having any of it. He declared everything would be handled according to law. Then he turned up the heat. "Are these houses even built legally? Notify urban planning and the fire department to investigate." At that, the landlady collapsed to the ground. It was no longer just about petty fees. Illegal construction was a far greater issue. And it wouldn't just involve her. Likely the entire neighborhood was in trouble. I grabbed my ID, slung my bag over my shoulder, and headed downstairs. Before leaving, I turned to her son and waved the knife. "Weren't you going to fight me earlier? Let's go one-on-one." He kept his head down, not daring to make a sound. Wang Wenkong motioned for his assistant to take the knife from me. Soon after, the housing authority, urban planning, and fire departments all arrived. In front of everyone, Wang Wenkong issued orders: conduct a 5-year retrospective investigation. Any landlord found charging illegal fees, strict punishment. Investigate all illegal construction and fire safety violations thoroughly. He followed up with a public statement. Renters are just hard-working people trying to make ends meet. They shouldn't have to deal with predatory landlords. After handling the situation, he turned to me and said, "This area's too chaotic. Let's head to the Jiangxing Bay No. 1 villa to talk." The landlady rushed over and grabbed my leg, crying and begging me to help her. She offered to waive 5 years' worth of rent, desperate for me to say something in her defense. I pulled my leg free and coldly replied, "Weren't you just bragging about how you weren't afraid of the police or the court? Show me that confidence now." With that, I left with Wang Wenkong. The tenants applauded loudly, cheering in unison. The red flag sedan drove straight into the Jiangxing Bay No. 1 villa complex. Wang Sihai's villa had a backyard with a small golf course, which overlooked the Yunjiang River. Honestly, the old man knows how to enjoy life. As soon as we got inside, Wang Wenkong called me and the bank managers together. He got straight to the point. 10 billion is impossible. Each of the 5 banks will approve 20 million, totaling 100 million. I nodded without hesitation once I heard that. Getting the ball rolling is better than nothing. But the banks aren't naive. They laid down a condition. Each bank would assign an investment advisor to follow me, officially to assist with investments. I laid out my bottom line bluntly. I'll listen to opinions, take them under advisement, but the final decision-maker has to be me. Once that was said, both sides signed the agreement. The moment it was signed, the bank managers immediately instructed their people to disperse the funds. These sly old foxes, tight-fisted in negotiations, yet quick to act. I then turned to Wang Wenkong. Can I use everything in the villa? He nodded. Not holding back, I immediately followed up. Then notify everyone. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., every shareholder and any manager level or higher position in Sihai Group must attend a meeting. Wang Wenkong acknowledged and departed. When he left, I took a long walk around the villa. To be honest, the place was absurdly massive, but I couldn't enjoy a single bit of it. Who would have thought holding a 3 trillion yuan bankrupt mess in your hands? Even staying in such a place feels like sitting on a pile of burning coals. Wandering to the backyard, I picked up a golf club and hit a few swings. And that's when the system's voice suddenly chimed in. Man, the system not only arranged the 100 million loan properly, but it even casually handed me a full set of evidence detailing crimes committed by Sihai Group executives. Holding that USB drive, I cursed inwardly. Sure, I had a trump card now, but my pockets were still empty. Unbelievably, I didn't even have money for dinner at that moment. Opening the debtors chat group, I typed hesitantly, Venmo me $50. Guys, I'm out of dinner money. The response came almost instantly from Huang Anqing, owner of Binjiang Hotel. Chairman Yang, just come eat my treat. I saw his reply and shut my phone immediately. I jumped into the Rolls-Royce Ghost sitting in Wang Sihai's garage and floored it straight to the hotel. Upon entering the VIP area, I didn't hold back. Caviar, seared foie gras, cream truffle soup, ordered them all. And just as I was enjoying myself, I ran into someone familiar. Zhang Xinyue. This woman had disappeared for 3 months, and now she was suddenly back. She had her arm hooked around some overweight guy, adorned in Burberry. One glance told me he wasn't your average Joe. This was the kind of guy used to playing games in the big leagues. That simmering frustration in my chest flared up in an instant. No hesitation. I walked straight over and slapped her across the face. Stealing 1 million and running off? Did you think I was an ATM? Zhang Xinyue panicked immediately, scrambling to explain. She claimed the 1 million was breakup compensation. The chunky guy next to her, Wang Qi, instantly stepped in to push me back. I wasn't about to let it slide. Grabbing a dinner plate, I slammed it into him, followed by a solid kick that sent both of them sprawling to the ground. The hotel staff rushed in to break things up, with the manager, Zhang Liang, arriving shortly after. And wouldn't you know it, he sides with Wang Qi, demanding I apologize. I couldn't help but laugh. Typical behavior. Treating people differently based on status. Exploiting the nice guy. I pulled out my trump card. My name is Yang Chun. Huang told me, I don't have to pay for my meal. Zhang Liang's stern face melted instantly. He grasped my hands with a big smile. Of course, Chairman Yang. Mr. Huang made it clear. But Wang Qi wasn't about to give up. He whipped out his phone and called Gao Han, the chairman of the Urban Construction Group. As soon as the call connected, Gao Han chewed him out, told him he deserved it, then demanded he apologize to me immediately and sever ties with Zhang Xinyue. Wang Qi turned pale but had no choice, trudging over to me dejectedly. Chairman Yang, I didn't recognize you. My apologies. I'll break up with her right away. Zhang Xinyue began sobbing, clawing at him desperately, but he shoved her aside, shouting, I paid you. At most it was a transaction. Just as he said that, the police arrived. Wang Qi quickly gave his version, claiming it was all a friendly scuffle. Seeing him grovel, I bit my tongue to keep from laughing. Offhandedly, I told him to give me a hug, and wouldn't you know, he did it immediately, holding on to me like his life depended on it. The police stepped in to remind us about public behavior. And just like that, Wang Qi turned the tables. He outright pinned Zhang Xinyue, claiming she'd stolen 1 million from me and requesting the police recover it. Caught off guard, Zhang Xinyue tried to flee, but she was stopped in her tracks. Eventually, I ended up at the station with her. Once there, I showcased the transaction record on my phone. The evidence was crystal clear. She, on the other hand, couldn't provide any proof of the supposed breakup payment. While things were at a standstill, my phone rang. Caller ID said it was Wang Wenkong. I answered with the speaker on, casually addressing him, Mayor Wang. On the other end, Wang Wenkong's voice was clear. Every shareholder and executive at Sihai Group had been informed. Tomorrow's meeting at 3 p.m. was set. He even asked if I'd like him to apply some pressure beforehand. I told him there was no need. I'm currently at the station, assisting with an investigation. Upon hearing that, he immediately voiced his stance. Criminals must be punished severely. His words shifted the police officer's attitudes instantly. I didn't hold anything back, stating my role as a major shareholder of Sihai Group. Soon after, the municipal police issued further instructions. I handed all evidence regarding Xia Yuliang and Zhang Xinyue's affairs to Captain Chun Lu of the Economic Investigation Division. Chun Lu reviewed the materials, initiated a case, and immediately detained them. During mediation, Zhang Xinyue dropped to her knees, crying and begging for my forgiveness. I offered her a single response. You committed a crime. Then I signed the papers and walked out. The next day, at exactly 3 p.m., I walked into the Sihai Group conference room, documents in hand. The moment I stepped in, I grasped the situation. Those shareholders and executives, their faces were full of mockery. And to top it off, they hadn't even bothered to save me a seat. This is section 4 of 16. Below is the content processed logically while maintaining the original paragraph structure, formatting, and overall layout. These creditors haven't swallowed me yet, but the parasites in this company are already treating me like a pushover. I didn't get angry. I simply tossed the documents onto the table, then sat on top of the pile, staring down and playing on my phone. Xia Yuliang knocked on the table, trying to put on airs as he addressed me. Without lifting my head, I cut him off with one word. Wait! Seeing my attitude, he immediately started laughing, leading the others to follow suit. That's when I finally raised my head and looked directly at them. Who laughed? Raise your hand. The room instantly silenced. A moment later, Xia Yuliang and Wang Song were the first to sheepishly raise their hands. I stood up, walked straight to Wang Song, and looked him in the eye. Sihai fled. You should leave too. Wang Song sneered. He claimed the entire board backed him. Xia Yuliang also chimed in with threats, making it clear. If I dared to touch any of them, they'd band together to oust me. I didn't even bother arguing. I pulled Xia Yuliang's file out of the heap and threw it directly at his face. The moment he took a glance, the color drained from his face. Wang Song snatched his own file and thumbed through it. His face paled just as quickly. Scanning the room, I coldly delivered, I have magic. Who wants to test it? Not a single voice responded. One by one, they all simmered down. But Chao Kong wasn't buying it. He shot up out of his chair, cursing me out, calling me a scapegoat. I didn't even look his way, just slid his folder toward him. He flipped it open, and his face changed instantly. 1 minute he was hurling insults, the next he was changing his tune completely, calling me their only hope. Unbelievable how fast these people could flip sides. Xia Yuliang took it to the next level. He actually stood up, offered me his seat, and even slapped himself across the face. I responded calmly. Once the trash is dealt with, I'll sit. His expression tightened as he cautiously asked me what I meant. Right then, the sound of police sirens erupted from downstairs. The wails froze everyone in the room. I finally opened my mouth, deliberately slow. I've got all the evidence. Be loyal, and you won't be taken away. The message was clear. Cards were on the table. With everything in my possession, who dared put on a front? In the next moment, the shareholders and execs all scrambled to pledge their allegiance. The hostility from earlier gone in a flash. I pointed to Xia Yuliang, Wang Song, and Chao Kong. You three haven't shown your loyalty. The three of them dropped to their knees on the spot, begging for forgiveness. I didn't budge one bit. I told them straight, save it for the judge. Seeing no way out, Xia Yuliang lost it. Desperate, he grabbed a pen and lunged at me. But before he could touch me, the rest of the room pounced, pinning him down. At moments like this, no one wanted to be dragged down with him. Right after, Chun Lu arrived with his team. I handed over the files on the trio. Chun Lu thumbed through them, then immediately ordered their arrest. As Xia Yuliang was being escorted out, he was still shouting bitterly. Claimed he wasn't the only one and that plenty of others were also corrupt. Chao Kong chimed in, naming finance department members with problems too. Once I felt enough groundwork was laid, I turned to Chin Lu. Everyone else can be given a chance to self-report and return stolen assets. I'll vouch for them. Chun Lu nodded and followed through. When Xia Yuliang and his cronies were taken away, the remaining board members crowded around again, eager to reaffirm their devotion. I brushed them off with one line. Cut the crap. Show me action. After the meeting, I reported to Wang Wenkong. He agreed to let the others off and joined me in addressing the situation. Later that evening, I headed to Menglong Bar. The tab, of course, went on Sihai Group. At this point, with the mess dumped in my lap, another line in the ledger didn't matter. At 8 p.m., Chun-Shi got on stage to perform. Some joker in the audience deliberately requested 8 consecutive kills with full choreography, even tossing $10,000 in cash to pressure her. Chun-Shi said she couldn't sing it. The guy, this Zhang fellow, grabbed a bottle and hurled it at her, smashing her left arm. Her friend Zhang Tao rushed to her defense, but he barely got into it before Zhang's group knocked him down. Chun-Shi begged for leniency. Zhang made conditions. She could come be his secretary. She outright refused. At that moment, manager Lu Rui came out, not to help her, but to demand she apologize. Even threatened that if she didn't, she could forget about performing at the bar ever again. Chun-Shi was visibly upset. She explained everything outright. Zhang was her former boss, and she left because she refused to go along with his sleazy rules. Now he's deliberately causing trouble, and the bar was siding with him to further bully her. But Lu Rui didn't care, just repeating, "The customer is king." He insisted she apologize. Tears in her eyes, Chun-Shi still walked over to Zhang. Zhang sneered, taunting her. "Not so noble now, huh?" At first, I planned to stay a spectator. Then Lu Hui tapped me on the shoulder. The moment he recognized me, he started buttering me up, saying Wang Sihai had set aside some premium liquor for me. I casually asked who the heavyset guy was. He told me the guy's name was Zhang Lei, manager of Changhui Auto. Before we could continue, a young man came over with a group. He immediately started chewing Zhang Lei out for drinking too much and ordered him to get lost. Zhang Lei, moments ago so arrogant, suddenly became a picture of obedience, bowing and scurrying off. The young man turned to Chun-Shi, asking if she was okay. Then he introduced himself, Sun Lianxing, president of Changhui Group. Without missing a beat, he started offering Chun-Shi opportunities to work for him as an assistant. I had the whole picture right then and there. This was just a two-bit act. One plays the villain, the other sweeps in playing the hero. A classic setup to trick naive girls. Did they think no one would catch on? Just as Sun finished his pitch, Lu Hui walked over to them. He pointed at me and introduced me to Sun. "This here is Yang Chun, the new chairman of Sihai Group." Chun-Shi immediately covered her mouth in shock. Even Sun Lianxing was taken aback. He quickly turned and came over, and just like that, this bold guy opened with a demand. He wanted me to fork over $30 billion. I shot back without hesitation. Pay money? Dream on. Repay debt? That's not happening either. Barely had the words left my mouth when the system notification popped up. Debt refusal confirmed. You've obtained the skill short selling guaranteed. Suddenly, I felt at ease. To put it bluntly, I had one more card up my sleeve. Sun Lianxing immediately flew into a rage, stomping the ground and accusing me of being a scoundrel. He even threatened to report me first thing tomorrow. I couldn't care less. I stood up and walked off. Before leaving, I gave him a little pat on the shoulder and said deliberately, "If I ever have money, I'd settle up with someone polite like Mr. Lu first. As for you, Sun Lianxing, you're forever last on the list." With that, I walked away. Passing by Chun-Shi, I stopped briefly. I looked at her and said, "Long time no see." She froze for a moment, then asked me if I wanted to grab some skewers. I kept it simple. Another time, that idiot Sun Lianxing jumped in again, trying to tear me down. He loudly claimed that Sihai Group owed $3 trillion and that I was just a scapegoat. Then he smugly pushed, asking if I even had money to buy him a bottle of Ace of Spades. Feigning distress, I played along and said, "No money." Hearing that, he immediately puffed up with arrogance, practically wearing a "you're nothing special" look on his face. Little did he expect that, just as he thought he had me cornered, I flipped the script. I turned to Lu Hui and shouted, "Bring me a bottle of Ace of Spades and give it to him." Lu Hui, to his credit, smoothly played along without missing a beat. As long as I'm alive, there's always hope for our creditors. At this, Sun Lianxing was completely dumbfounded. He stood there, utterly stunned. I walked over, patted him, and said with a smirk, "Blows your mind, doesn't it? Here, have a drink. You'll feel better." Laughing loudly, I turned and left. Not long later, the waiter really brought over the wine. Sun Lianxing was so furious. He stood there cursing up a storm. Meanwhile, Lu Hui calmly placed the wine in front of him with a steady hand. It wasn't about buying him a drink. It was a solid slap in the face. As soon as I stepped out of the bar, she caught up to me. She handed me a business card. It wasn't to ask on Sun Lianxing's behalf. It was her own. I didn't put on any airs and laid it out straight. I got screwed by Wang Sihai. Now, I'm saddled with a 3 trillion debt and can't even afford food. Hearing this, she didn't hesitate for a second. She emptied the cash out of her wallet and stuffed it into my hand. Take it for now. Consider it a loan. Looking at the small wad of cash in my hand, I felt a lump in my throat. It was stifling, really, carrying a debt of 3 trillion, yet not having enough for a proper meal. This life of mine, it sounded like a punchline. And yet, precisely because of this, I knew I couldn't falter. These creditors, these old foxes, they were all just waiting for me to crumble. I couldn't give them the satisfaction. I asked her, "What brings you to the bar, singing of all things?" She sighed, explaining that she had applied for a secretary position at Zhang Lei's company. But as soon as she stepped in, she became a target. Refusing to play his dirty little games, she had no choice but to leave and sing at the bar to make ends meet. Hearing this, everything clicked into place for me. No wonder Zhang Lei was so intent on humiliating her tonight. This piece of trash. If he can't have something, he just wants to destroy it. Truly disgusting. I was about to leave, but the valet, seeing it was a Rolls-Royce, refused to drive it. She herself was too scared to touch it. Without wasting time, I handed her the keys. "Drive. If you crash it, don't worry about paying for damages." She hesitated for a moment before getting in. On the way, swerving to avoid another phantom, she accidentally scraped the car against a tree. Panic immediately set in for her. I, on the other hand, stayed completely calm. "Keep driving." When we finally reached Jiangxing Bay 1, she got out, took one look at the scratched-up paint, and nervously asked me, "For real, no need to pay?" I gave her the same answer. No need. Only then did she seem to finally relax, but she made up her mind to hail a cab back. Before leaving, she glanced back and asked me, "So how are you going to deal with the 3 trillion? I looked at her and responded calmly, "It's not my debt anyway. My job is just to run the company well." With a reminder to watch out for the creditors, she left. The next morning at 9, I drove another phantom to work. The receptionist informed me that investment consultants from several banks were already waiting in the lounge. I told her to lead them to the investment department. At the same time, I instructed HR to start recruiting for a secretary. The 5 consultants who showed up were all women. Zhao Jing from ICBC, Chun Lan from ABC, Gaoya from CCB, Bai Ji from the Commercial Bank, and Huang Wei from Jiangcheng Development Bank. I led them up to the 33rd floor. Once we arrived, I called everyone in the investment department into the analysis room. At 9:30, the market opened. The big screen was awash with red. Everything was falling. Glancing at it briefly, I made a decisive call. Split $1 billion into 2 parts and buy the 2 stocks dropping the most. The room fell eerily silent. Everyone looked at me like I was insane. Leaning back in my chair, I said lazily, "They've dropped to 80 cents. The upside potential is huge. If they rebound, it's a jackpot." Chun Chao nervously tried to stop me. "President Yang, those stocks are at risk of delisting." Hearing this, I slammed my hand on the table. "Why didn't you say so earlier? Hurry up and buy. If they delist, we won't even have the chance." At this, the room was thrown into even further chaos. I went ahead and specified the names. Dragon Country New Coal, Huashan Coal Mine. With names that badass, how could they possibly delist so easily? The 5 consultants could no longer sit still. Zhao Jing stepped up to explain KDJ indicators to me. Bai Ji chimed in that coal was a sunset industry. I simply shook my head. "Don't understand. It's bad stock. Exactly why I want to buy." All 5 spoke up at once. "Why?" Couldn't even be bothered to explain further. No comment. Just buy. Chun Chao had no choice but to place the orders. Dragon Country New Coal, 60.3 million shares at an average of 0.829. Huashan Coal Mine, 60.05 million shares at an average of 0.833. Once the trades were done, I stood up. "That's it for today. Everyone's dismissed." My declaration left everyone stunned. Even the 5 consultants were frozen in place. To them, this wasn't investing, it was throwing money straight into the fire. Before long, the 5 consultants had all rushed out to call their bank managers and file complaints. Sure, Here is the translation of your content in a way that aligns with American expression style while retaining the original structure and flow. Sure enough, Wang Wenkong quickly called me over to the city government. At that time, I had already gone home. The moment he called, he started questioning me. He asked if I had spent that billion buying delisted stocks. I kept my tone steady. I really value this opportunity. Let's just wait for the results. Before I could finish, Sun Lianxing snatched the phone away and started cursing at me. I didn't accommodate him either and shot back immediately. Your daddy's here. That punk completely lost it, shouting curses at me over the phone. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him, so I just got up and headed to the city government. When I arrived at the office, Sun Lianxing pointed at me and kept yelling insults. His behavior was no better than that of a rabid dog. I suppressed my anger for a long time but eventually exploded. I grabbed a flower pot nearby and smashed it toward him. He dodged, covering his head. Then I grabbed the ashtray and firmly nailed him on the head with it. Blood appeared instantly. Wang Wenkong was terrified. He quickly stepped in, pulling me back and urging Sun Lianxing to go to the hospital. Sun Lianxing clutched his head and yelled at me, "I'm going to kill you." I handed him the ashtray and leaned my head toward him. "Go ahead, kill me." He actually raised the ashtray. Wang Wenkong desperately tried to stop him. In the end, Sun Lianxing called the cops. But just as the police showed up, Li Jun called me. He told me those two stocks had skyrocketed from their bottom limits to their upper limits. By the end of the day, the gain was 40%. Wang Wenkong was dumbfounded. Li Jun continued over the phone, saying that the Xishan State Asset Commission planned to integrate coal resources, and the two companies were set for a merger. Hearing this, Wang Wenkong turned around and started blaming the bank. He lamented that they should have approved a bigger loan for me. Then, he threw his arms around me, repeating how he had seen from our very first meeting that I was someone extraordinary. Even Sun Lianxing was stunned and couldn't help but ask what he meant. He wondered if Wang Wenkong actually intended to back me. Wang Wenkong quickly pulled him aside and whispered, "He just made 40 million, and both Sihai and Binjiang Garden City depend on him. Don't let him get detained." But Sun Lianxing was relentless, vowing that even if Jesus came down, it wouldn't save me. Meanwhile, the debtors group chat was in chaos. A few bank managers congratulated me profusely. Some regretted not lending me 10 billion from the start, while others pushed to add more funds now. I simply posted one line in the group. "Long Hui's young master insulted me. I broke his head open, and he's sending me to jail. Bye-bye. Split the money amongst yourselves." As soon as I sent that message, the group completely erupted. Some people said their companies couldn't hold on much longer. Others even declared they were ready to go head-to-head with Long Hui. And the most ridiculous part? Those bank managers were already organizing the debtors to pressure the city government. Eventually, I was taken to Binjiang Administrative Subbureau. When the police officer asked why I hit him, I answered bluntly, "Because he insulted me." The officer reminded me that the injuries might qualify as minor bodily harm, which could lead to legal consequences. I shrugged indifferently. "Free meals and housing? Please do sentence me. I won't settle." From the look in the officer's eyes, I could tell they thought I was insane. To be honest, that's exactly how I felt at that moment. Jail seemed way more relaxing compared to dealing with the burden of those 3 trillion yuan. Not long after, Sun Lianxing arrived after getting his injuries assessed. He was absolutely adamant, refusing any form of settlement. He even claimed his wound was 6 centimeters long, saying I was certain to land in jail this time. After signing the documents, I casually tossed him a remark as I walked out. "Just wait until your dad begs me to bail you out." He continued to curse as I left the mediation room. As soon as I stepped out, I got a call from Sun Changing. Apparently, Sun Lianxing had already exaggerated and dramatized the entire story to his dad. But guess what? After hearing the story, Sun Changing paused for a moment, then simply advised, "Just let it go." The reason was straightforward. Major bank headquarters were already starting to apply pressure. Not only were they pursuing accountability, but they were also demanding repayment. Long Hui was already overwhelmed by what Sihai was dragging them into. If their assets ended up frozen, that would truly be the end of them. And on top of it all, I had just made them 40 million that very morning. Now, Sun Changing hoped I could help him patch up that 30 billion hole in their finances. Hearing this, Sun Lianxing exploded. Who could have imagined his own father wouldn't even take his side? But Sun Changing didn't mince words. He straight up said his son had too foul a mouth, so bad that even he sometimes wanted to punch him. Shortly after, Li Jun and the other debtors showed up. Taking turns, They pressured Sun Lianxing to apologize and resume operations quickly. They told him outright not to shoulder the consequences of those 3 trillion yuan alone. But Sun Lianxing wouldn't budge. Seeing this, Li Jun called his headquarters right on the spot, escalating the situation. Just 15 minutes later, Sun Changjing called back again. This time he sounded frantic, his tone completely changed. If you don't pay the debts, assets are getting frozen. I'm already on a flight to Jiangqing. Shut your damn mouth and wait for me. Once the call ended, Sun Lianxing, infuriated, smashed his phone. Right afterward, news broke online about Longhui facing mounting debt pressure, and its stock price instantly hit the daily down limit. I looked at him with a grin. Hey, Sun, maybe check out your company's stock price right about now? 3 hours later, Sun Changjing arrived. Note, the translation is adapted for better readability and tone in American English while retaining the core message and breakdown of your provided text. Here's the process translation while maintaining the original structure, paragraphing, and layout as per your request. I hit Sun Lianxing. Honestly, I felt guilty about it. So here's what I'll take on more responsibility. Sell all the project shares of Chonghui to Sihai at an 80% discount, convert them into debt, and I'll pay it back gradually with future profits. That statement set off Sun Lianxing immediately. He blurted out, shouting, 60 billion less? Absolutely not. I didn't even glance at him and directly asked Sun Changjing. Who has the final say in Chonghui? Sun Changjing hesitated briefly, then nodded. All right. Sun Lianxing panicked and tried to persuade her frantically. But deep down, Sun Changjing had already done all the math. If they kept injecting funds, the likelihood of losing everything was high. If it became debt, at least there was still a chance of recovering something. In the end, she only made one condition. The 24 billion had to be paid back first. I didn't shut things down completely. The banks have their eyes on me. I don't have the sole authority to make this decision. Here's the proposal. I leave it up to you to decide. With that, I stood up and left. As soon as I stepped outside, a group of creditors surrounded me, showering me with their fake warmth. Their enthusiasm, completely different from before. Sun Lianxing stood there, fuming with rage. I could tell it finally dawned on him. Turns out, sometimes the debtor is the one who gets treated like royalty. I thanked the crowd and let out a deliberate sigh. To be honest, I kind of wish I'd get detained. At least in there, meals are provided, and I wouldn't have to carry 3 trillion in debt every day. Li Kong from the city investment office immediately chimed in. Tonight at the state guest house, food, drinks, and entertainment are on me. And just like that, I was whisked away by the crowd into a private room. After a few rounds of drinks, the bankers finally got down to business. Li Jun stood up first, offering me a heartfelt apology. He admitted he should have approved that 1 billion loan back then. If he had, it wouldn't have been just 40 million earned today, more like 400 million. He downed 3 drinks in a row after saying this. Next, Chun Tao stood up. He owned up too, saying it was his fault for causing me to lose several billion in potential profit. And after saying that, he dragged me for another 3 rounds. Once the documents were signed, they decided to move the party to the Haikushianking Spa Center. Just as I was settling into the hot tub, someone recognized me. It was Li Qingshan. He cautiously approached, nervously asking if I could settle the 1.2 million that Wang Sihai owed him. I waved him off. No money. Can't pay. Before I finished speaking, I got a system notification. I was rewarded with a tip-off about a stalled project. Baoli and Wonka were planning to jointly acquire Weiqing 1 development. The next morning at 9 a.m., 5 bankers accompanied me to the investment department. 10 billion in loans approved and disbursed. Once they left, 5 female advisors immediately swarmed me. Zhao Jing was the first to compliment me on my luck. I smiled and replied, yeah, just luck. Gaoya, however, wasn't having it. She announced that she'd supervise me 24/7 from now on. The others chimed in as well, essentially saying the same thing. I looked at them and asked, are you all serious about helping me? They nodded. Since they insisted, I didn't turn them down. Agreed to let them join me. Inside the investment department, Chun Chao rushed up to greet me. He told me that the 2 reorganized stocks we were holding had at least a 5-fold return still ahead. I raised my hand to quiet everyone down and issued a direct order. When the stock price hits 3 yuan, sell off all of it. Once sold, short immediately. The moment I said this, both Gao Ye and Bai Ji openly questioned me. I countered with one simple question. What if the reorganization fails? Huang Wei took it up a notch and asked what exactly I reviewed last night. I suddenly felt a bit awkward. I obviously couldn't tell them I relied on the system. Chun Chao quickly stepped in to smooth things over, saying he trusted me. He also reminded me that the two stocks were going to hit limit up directly at market open. I nodded. Solid. Truthfully, I had cash on hand now. I needed to quickly find avenues to spend it. Chun Chao moved fast. He listed the 6 stocks with the largest drops that day. Zhao Jing immediately became suspicious. You're not planning to buy limit-down stocks and gamble on them bouncing back, are you? Both Gao Ye, Bai Ji, and even Chen Lan joined in trying to dissuade me. They reminded me that 1 billion isn't a small sum. I couldn't just rely on blind luck anymore. After hearing their concerns, I smiled instead. Then I proposed a wager. If I buy the limit downs again and all 6 hit limit up, you 5 will move into the villa tonight and do a dance in black stockings for me. If they stay at limit down instead, I'll follow your lead entirely from then on. That left the 5 of them completely frozen. They stared at each other for ages, and eventually, they grudgingly agreed. Even went as far as signing an agreement. I signed it too and even took a picture for the record. Then I made the call. Transfer 300 million. Split into 6 portions, 50 million each. Buy into the 6 largest drops today. 5 minutes. In just 5 minutes. Stock 1, Chongqing Gas, hit immediate limit up. Stock 2, Longxin National Security, instantly surged to the ceiling. Stocks 3, 4, 5, and 6 followed one after another, all going limit up. The office erupted. Those who thought I'd lost my mind before stared at me in shock now. Chun Chao was practically beside himself, his face flushed red. He yelled at me, "Stock God!" I replied casually with 4 words. Done for the day. Huang Wei still seemed unconvinced. I winked at her and said lazily, "Want to know the secret? Get that dance in black stockings perfect tonight, and I might tell you." That last line left all 5 of them gritting their teeth as they followed me out. At the doorway, I turned back one last time to dig the knife deeper. Start packing. Stock up on black stockings, or white's fine too. Just then, a call came in. I got their message loud and clear. They wanted the shares to settle the debt. I agreed immediately, told them to come by at 3 p.m. to sign the agreement. After hanging up, I went straight to the real estate department to find Zhang Jinsong. The moment he heard my plan, he disapproved strongly. He said the project was already stalled, the risks were way too high, it was a no-go. I didn't waste time arguing with him. I simply laid it out. This deal can net us 6 billion directly. Do as I say. By the time 3 p.m. rolled around, Sun Changjing personally led her team over to finalize the agreement. Ultimately, Sihai Group took on 24 billion in debt to acquire a 49% stake in Chonghui's Riverside Garden City project. As soon as the paperwork was signed, I went to withdraw 30,000 yen from my salary in advance. Then I returned the exact amount to Chun Shi, the money she'd lent me earlier. That evening, at 8 p.m., I met her outside Dreamlong Bar to hand over the cash. She told me there was no rush. Let me know if further adjustments are needed. Here's the requested translation retaining the structure, formatting, and layout of the original text. I told her I had already advanced my salary, so I really needed to return the money. After paying her back, I was ready to leave. But she caught up to me again, asking if the thing about being my secretary was still on the table. I looked at her and asked bluntly, "Want to give it a shot?" She nodded. I wasn't into all the fancy formalities, so I just did the interview on the spot. I asked her, "Who's more handsome, me or Daniel Wu?" She laughed after hearing that. "Of course, it's you." I made the decision on the spot. "All right, you're hired. Start tomorrow at the villa." Not long after she left, Sun Lianxing, Zhang Lei, Guahai, and Zhang Tao all showed up. They had seen everything that just happened. Zhang Lei immediately started mocking. Said Chun she was only getting hired because of bribes. Guahai was even worse, directly calling her degrading names. Sun Lianxing pulled out a stack of cash, handed it to Zhang Tao and said, "Since she's selling it, let's use the money to make a dream come true." Zhang Lei egged them on, saying Chun she would agree as long as the price was high enough. Zhang Tao easily swayed, went along with them. The moment they walked into the bar, Chun she was already on stage singing. Zhang Tao deliberately requested the song 8 Consecutive Kills. When she declined, he stormed onto the stage, throwing money everywhere while insulting her. Manager Lu Rui tried to step in to talk some sense into them. But Zhang Lei pulled out a secretly recorded video and claimed it was evidence of some deal. That stirred up the crowd, and the whole place turned chaotic. Someone yelled, "Weren't you headed to a hotel?" Others followed by shouting higher prices. No one could have expected Chun Shi to break down into tears on the spot. She cried so hard it felt like her whole world was falling apart. Face red and trembling, she said she would call the cops. Zhang Tao, the sly fox, sneered back. A hooker calling the police? Really? Her cries echoed throughout the bar. Honestly, just hearing it had me fuming. Scenarios like this are the worst. A pack of scumbags ganging up on someone innocent and twisting the truth to make them look bad. Right at that moment, Lu Hui and I walked in from outside. The second Lu Hui stepped in, he shouted, "Who's causing trouble in here?" The entire place fell silent in an instant. The music cut off and the lights went out. But before anyone could react, the lights all flicked back on. Chun Shi spotted me immediately. Her tears gushed out like a flood. Her look said it all. She was cornered with no way out. I glanced over at Sun Lianxing. The guy was quick on his feet, immediately playing innocent. "It's not me." I didn't bother listening to his excuses. I grabbed a bottle off a nearby table and charged straight at him. Sun Lianxing started backing off, still mouthing off along the way. "If you hit me, I'll make sure you land in jail." Zhang Tao tried stepping in to block me, but I shoved him aside with a single slap. Lu Hui took the cue and had Lu Rui pin Zhang Tao down. I stared down Sun Lianxing, my tone sharp as a knife. "I saw everything that happened outside. The money you gave Zhang Tao is still in his hands." Once I said that, Sun Lianxing shut his mouth instantly. He couldn't get a single word out. I kicked him square in the chest, sending him sprawling to the ground. Then I raised the bottle and smashed it over his head. One hit, the entire bar went dead silent. No one dared to make a sound. Sun Lianxing screamed in pain as blood trickled down his forehead. Gone was the smug rich kid attitude. I grabbed him by the hair, yanked his head up, and glared into his face. "Get out of Jiangqing. Don't come back without my permission. If you do, I'll make sure you regret it every time I see you." Terrified, he nodded furiously, too scared to even think of fighting back. But Zhang Lei and Zhang Tao weren't giving up. They kept running their mouths, accusing me of being some scapegoat. I couldn't help but laugh at how ridiculous they were. I grabbed 2 bottles and shoved them into Sun Lianxing's hands. "Smash one over Zhang Lei and the other over Zhang Tao. If you don't, we'll be here all night. And while we're at it, I'll short Changhui's stocks and watch your business crash." Hearing that, Sun Lianxing went pale. He didn't dare resist. He quickly helped Zhang Lei and Zhang Tao up, then swung the bottles at them, one for each. "Duong! Duong!" The crisp sound echoed across the room. Zhang Lei and Zhang Tao clutched their heads in disbelief. I bet they never imagined the one hitting them would end up being Sun Lianxing himself. Afterwards, Sun Lianxing clutched his own head and bolted out of there, not daring to look back. I didn't even glance his way, instead telling Lu Hui to settle Chun Shi's paycheck before heading out with her. Outside, Chun Shi insisted on treating me to skewers as a thank you. I didn't turn her down, but we'd barely started eating when Sun Changjing called me. The first thing he did was interrogate me, demanding to know if I beat up his son again. I just chuckled and shot back, "Are there any meds for him?" "Him." He slammed the phone down in anger. Chun Shi, still on edge, asked if Zhang Lei and the others had threatened me again. I shook my head and told her to eat up. Once we were done, I'd make sure to take her home. But before long, Zhang Lei and Zhang Tao showed up with a whole crew. Chun Shi, seeing the situation, instinctively tried to run. I pulled her behind me and stepped forward to face them. At that moment, my mastery of Bajiquan suddenly kicked in. I could feel it. My whole body was different, like I had entered some peak state. The first 2 who charged at me, 1 elbow, 1 strike, down they went. My moves were too fast for them to react. Seeing this, the rest of their group immediately chickened out. They weren't here for a real fight, just trying to act tough. Zhang Lei, still fuming at the back, yelled at them to keep going. I picked up the nearest stool and kicked it towards him, hitting him squarely. Then I walked up to him and slapped him hard across the face, snapping him back to reality. I stared him down, voice icy. "Go back and tell Sun Changjing this. I will make sure to settle the score with him." Hearing that, he clutched his head and turned tail, running off. His lackeys followed suit, scrambling to drag their unconscious buddies away. All that was left was Zhang Tao. He tripped over a stool and hadn't managed to get up in time to escape. I walked up to him, looking down. "Stay away from Chun Shi." Terrified, he nodded repeatedly. Then he tossed some cash to cover damages and got to his feet, fleeing like his life depended on it. At that point, Chun Shi ran over, her eyes full of admiration. This is section 9 of 16. Here's the processed content keeping the original structure, paragraph breaks, and layout intact. To put it bluntly, she probably didn't expect me to single-handedly deal with that whole group. I went to settle the bill, but the lady boss waved it off, saying the money Zhang Tao compensated was enough, and told us to just leave. Afterward, I drove Chun Shi back to the rental place in the urban village. On the way, I casually mentioned that she should cancel her lease tomorrow and move into the villa, or the company dorms, either would be fine. As soon as she heard that, her face turned red all of a sudden. She didn't respond, just turned and bolted off. Watching her like that, I couldn't help but chuckle before driving back to the villa. Just as I arrived at the entrance, well, guess what? The 5 investment advisors, Zhao Jing and the crew, were already there waiting for me with their luggage. The second I parked the car in the garage, their call came through, demanding an explanation. They asked if I had intentionally delayed. I threw out a quick excuse, saying Sun Changjing brought over 20 people to block my way, and if it weren't for her skills, I wouldn't have made it out. Huang Wei naturally didn't believe a word. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her and just got out of the car. Believe it or not, that's on you. I'm gonna shower first, you guys get ready. When I'm out, it's time for the stockings dance. Gaoya checked the time, damn near midnight, and looked utterly shocked. You seriously want to go through with it now? She asked. I shot back, fully justified. I work so hard every day. Why can't I enjoy some borderline dance entertainment? They all fell silent, except Huang Wei, who broke into a mischievous grin. You sure you can sleep after watching all this? I couldn't help but laugh. I've seen everything under the sun since I was a teen. Bring it on. Though unwilling, a bet's a bet, they accepted the terms. Dragging their luggage inside, they began picking rooms. Wang Sihai had run a performing arts group before. The villa had 16 bedrooms for them to choose from. But man, these 5 women, they deliberately chose the rooms closest to mine. Once they'd changed into their battle gear, all 5 stood in formation in the hallway, chiming in unison. Good evening, President Yang. Clearing my throat theatrically, I gave them instructions. Form a line, one at a time. Huang Wei was up first. JK outfit with black tights, dancing to G. Both innocent and tantalizing. Clapping as I watched, I teased her. Aren't you a master's degree graduate? What are you doing with all this? Pursing her lips, she retorted. Pay me enough, and I might reconsider. Next up was Zhao Jing, tank top, shorts, black tights, breaking out a hip-shaking routine. Laughing, I tossed in a one-liner. Don't test the boss now. Gaoya's act was the wildest maximal contrast charm. A camisole, white sheer overlay, and, of course, black tights. That crouch down, look-up move of hers. Man, I tell you, it nearly did me in. Bai Ji went the classic route. White shirt, black skirt, with a hypnotizing pendulum sway that practically emptied my mind. Chun Lan rounded it off with that mature femme fatale vibe. Pencil skirt, garter stockings, ending her dance with a deliberate thigh snap for effect. At that point, I'd had enough. Staying in that atmosphere much longer? Dangerous. So I made an excuse and retreated to my room. In the bathroom mirror, I let out a sigh. Wang Sihai's lifestyle, man, it's good. Of course, I came back out after about 10 minutes. Playing it cool and aloof, I concluded with a feigned disinterest. Meh, it's all right. At the end of the day, men should focus on their careers. The next morning, bright and early, Chun Shi came over fully dolled up, professional skirt and all, to pick me up. But as soon as she stepped inside, bam, she spotted me jogging with those 5 advisors. That look on her face? Just a slight flash of jealousy. But just as quickly, she composed herself, came over, and greeted everyone. Taking the chance, I introduced her. Everyone, meet my new secretary, Chun Shi. The 5 advisors smiled and introduced themselves right back. After all that, Chun Shi seemed visibly lighter and in better spirits. Finished with breakfast, I picked a 7-seater Alpha to drive. Chun Shi willingly hopped into the driver's seat, which I praised. You're stepping into the role quickly. Then I casually added that she might as well pack up her things and move into the villa. She instantly agreed, delighted. Once we hit the road, I announced our destination for the day. We're heading to Weiqing Mansion 1 to buy into a development. The moment I said that, the 5 advisors exploded. They took turns objecting, arguing that the risks of buying into a stalled project were too high. I just replied with one simple line. You can disagree, but the final call is mine. And you know what? Chun Shi actually took my side. Well, if you dare to do it, you must have your reasons, she said. That made me burst into laughter. Nowthat's a secretary. The 5 advisors, left with no choice, sulked as they began nervously calling various bank managers to cover their bases. Anything just to avoid taking the fall later. Taking over the phone myself, I joked with one manager, the stock market's too slow. I'm looking to make some fast cash. The poor guy nearly snapped, warning me about the dreadful return speed on such projects. I cut him short with, "History judges by results." After hanging up, I even left a message in the debtors chat group. Told them I had a hunch this investment would be hugely profitable. The group? All over the place. People told me to think carefully. Others outright claimed this wasn't investing, it was charity. Still, my response remained the same. Results-based judgment. When we pulled up at Weiqing Mansion 1, the scene was a total circus. Police lines, closed-off streets, owners protesting at the top of their lungs. It was chaos. A traffic cop stopped me and asked, "Are you one of the homeowners?" Shaking my head, I replied, "Nope, I'm here to come one." The officer blinked in disbelief. "You're buying?" I nodded. "Yep. Planning to get a loan for a few billion and save the place." The officers just stared, probably never imagining someone willingly diving headfirst into a dead project. Inside the sales office, it was just as chaotic, police struggling to maintain order. Pulling Chun-Shi and the others aside, I whispered a quick strategy. "When I go in to negotiate prices, I need you all to start wailing and causing a scene." Instructions given. I pushed into the crowd and yelled, "Mr. Zhou Wenchang, I'm here to buy property." The room instantly fell silent. Zhou Wenchang looked startled at first, then erupted in joy, grabbing my hand and hastily dragging me inside. Before he could seal the deal, though, Chun-Shi suddenly called out from behind. Loud and clear, "Pawn!" That one cry, it stirred the crowd into a frenzy. Suddenly, everyone was shouting. I nearly laughed out loud. The secretary, she's got the role nailed. Then Zhou Wenchang pulled me into the second-floor office. The moment I walked in, I cut straight to the chase. I slapped a business card and a bank card on the desk, then spoke up. "Man, Forsee's group is already drowning in debt. And here I am, acting reckless, ready to throw a fortune into a ghosted development. Who could have predicted that downstairs?" She kept stirring the pot, crying that her family's entire savings were gone and shouting about self-immolation. Zhao Jing and the others joined in the act, each scream sounding more tragic than the last. Upstairs, I nearly burst into laughter. I turned to look at Zhou Wenchang and coolly said, "You've done plenty of harm, haven't you?" He looked awkward and tried to sidetrack the conversation, rambling about a real estate winter. I shut him down immediately. 7 billion matters to me, but it's even more important to you. Half off, full package deal. Hearing that, Zhou Wenchang exploded on the spot, clearly unable to stomach the offer. Seeing his reaction, I stood to leave. He panicked and grabbed me, saying he needed to consult the chairman. Well, the moment Li Chongqing picked up the call, he didn't even hesitate. "Seal the deal at half price. Don't let them walk away." Zhou Wenchang wanted to haggle a bit more. I pretended to leave again. Seeing I was serious about leaving, he caved and signed the papers on the spot. No hesitation on my end either. I scooped up all 7 buildings in Phase 2. 1 billion per building. 7 billion all in. The infamous money down the drain plan officially kicked off. Downstairs, chaos erupted. Huang Wei and the others stood there, trying frantically to make sense of my logic. Zhao Jing was convinced this black hole would swallow up all the money. Chen-Shi, however, thought I might have some insider information. Then, Li Chongqing came out with security guards, holding a loudspeaker, trying to calm everyone down. He announced I'd already invested 7 billion into the project. The homeowners didn't believe him. Stuck, he resorted to revealing my name. That only made them angrier, with some yelling for me to come down and explain myself. Carrying a box of contracts, I went downstairs. I didn't hide. I just admitted it. Yes, I just bought 7 buildings. Immediately, homeowners started questioning me. They couldn't believe someone would bail out Forsee's group, with all its abandoned projects. "What's wrong with you?" someone shouted. I just chuckled. Well, those previous failed projects, that was Wang Sihai's issue. Nothing to do with me. I'm here solely for high returns. At that moment, a convoy arrived outside. In came Baoli's chairwoman, Huo Chuyen, Wang Kai Group's chairman, Yu Hongliang, and Mayor Huang Zhenhua all at once. The moment Huang Zhenhua spoke, the scene fell silent. He made it clear, Baoli and Wang Kai were planning a joint acquisition of Weiqing Chenwan. The room turned its collective gaze toward me. Their eyes screamed suspicion. Great. I just sealed a deal for 7 buildings, and not 2 minutes later, talk of a buyout began. Who wouldn't think something was fishy? Huang Zhenhua finally noticed me and asked outright, "Did you also invest here?" I raised my hand and tapped the contract box. Just signed, haven't even walked out yet. Huo Chuyen and Yu Hongliang both froze. This was supposed to be a tightly held secret. News shouldn't have gotten out early, in theory. Meanwhile, the 5 women surrounding me were stunned as well. Bai Ji couldn't help but blurt out, "You're treating the housing market like a casino." Zhao Jing immediately suspected I had insider knowledge. Huang Wei went even further, speculating that I'd conspired with the 2 chairpersons to stage this whole thing. Gao Ye quickly objected, firing back that no one would broadcast insider information ahead of time. Chun Shi stepped in to defend me, too. In the end, it came down to luck, ridiculous, absurd luck. Huang Zhenhua leaned in and lowered his voice. "Did you have prior knowledge?" I denied it immediately. "I've been here since this morning signing contracts. When would I have had time to gather info?" He clearly didn't buy it. Turning, he asked Hu Chuyan and Yu Hongliang in front of everyone. They both shook their heads in denial. Realizing the situation was ripe, I pivoted. I pointed to the 5 financial advisors trailing me and started playing the victim. "Look, the bank saddled me with 10 billion yuan, and these 5 advisors watch me 24/7. I can't even shower in peace without someone nearby. Do you think that's easy for a guy in his early 20s? Out of nowhere, I'm carrying 3 trillion in debt, micromanaged at every turn. Can you imagine how much pressure that puts on me?" I let out an exaggerated sigh before continuing. "So I figured, screw it. If I'm going down, might as well go big. I started buying at-limit stocks and ghosted properties just to lose money. But who could have predicted? The delisted stocks hit daily limits, and even abandoned developments are getting picked up." I turned to Zhou Wenchang and asked on the spot, "Isn't that right?" By now, Zhou Wenchang couldn't dare to contradict me. He meekly nodded. Then I turned toward Hu Chuyan and Yu Hongliang. "Maybe don't acquire this project after all? Let me lose a little. Is that so much to ask?" Hu Chuyan laughed outright. She explained that they didn't want to either, but this abandoned project was affecting sales of their other developments. "If we don't fix it, we can't sell our own properties," she added. Yu Hongliang also chuckled. "Same here. My luck's as absurd as yours. I can't even lose on purpose." By this time, Li Chongqing finally caught on. Instantly, he tried to refund me and void the contract. But Huang Zhenhua put his foot down, pulling rank. "Contracts are signed. Payments are made. Business operates on trust. The city government will not tolerate breach of contract." Li Chongqing deflated immediately. His face twisted with misery, and he eventually slapped himself out of frustration, muttering endlessly about his rotten luck. I couldn't help but rub it in a little. "Maybe we should just call it off?" I asked Huang Zhenhua, feigning reluctance. I didn't even plan on making money in the first place. Huang Zhenhua wasn't having it. He emphatically told me, "Whatever you intended doesn't matter anymore. The fact is, you bought 7 buildings at half price. That's your profit, own it. The debts behind this are waiting to be settled." Sighing, I reluctantly nodded. "Fine. I'll listen to the government. Sorry about this, Chairman Li." Li Chongqing stood there, his lips twitching, on the verge of tears. Huang Zhenhua directed me to hand over the contract box, assuring me that he'd handle the rest and deposit the payment directly into my account. Here's the translation while maintaining the paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. I exchanged a few pleasantries, didn't linger for long, and turned to leave. As soon as I stepped out, 6 women surrounded me instantly. Zhao Jing spoke first. She said that, from a professional perspective, she wasn't convinced. But emotionally, she was. So, combining both, she was half convinced. Huang Wei, still unwilling to give up, pressed me persistently. "Did you get some insider information in advance?" she asked. I couldn't help but laugh after hearing that. "How about this? Tonight, the 6 of you camp outside my room and see if I talk to anyone about insider tips." Bai Ji immediately called me a pervert right then and there. I quickly waved my hands and explained, "I'm just trying to prove my innocence. Insider trading is illegal. I'm not taking any blame for that." At this moment, she suddenly thought of a new idea. She didn't sugarcoat it and said outright, "Why don't you buy some stocks from the Bald Eagle Country US, right in front of us? No Dragon Country concept stocks, only pure foreign ones. And you have to stick to your current strategy by whatever has dropped the most. If it goes up after you buy, it means you truly have godlike luck. No insider tips involved. If it doesn't, or worse, it keeps dropping, then either your streak of luck has ended, or you've been dealing with insider info all along." Hearing this, I immediately pretended to be flustered. "Oh no, 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 I'm out of money. Plus, staying up late to watch the markets? Exhausting. This suggestion is just..." The more I appeared reluctant, the more excited the 5 investment advisors got. Zhao Jing jumped right in. If you're out of money, you could ask the branch manager for a loan. Gao Ye chimed in, echoing similar sentiments. I waved them off and forced a bitter smile. I'm already 3 trillion in debt. Borrowing more doesn't seem very appropriate, does it? But Huang Wei smiled at me and said, with your luck, the more you borrow, the faster you'll earn it back. And just like that, the 5 of them immediately started calling the branch manager. Zhao Jing even took the time to report to him, saying I had bought 700 million worth of incomplete Weiqing real estate, and Baoli and Wang Kai had swooped in to take over, letting me double my money on the spot before cashing out. Hearing this, Li Jun instantly approved their plan. He told them, do stocks in the Dragon Country by day and the US market at night. Let him work around the clock. After their calls were done, Zhao Jing walked up to me and asked very seriously, so are you willing to buy Bald Eagle stocks to prove whether it's luck? I sighed dramatically and muttered, you guys are harsher than any tyrant. But Huang Wei wasn't done. She raised the stakes. If you can make money in the US market too, she said, then the 5 of us and Chun Shi too will all wear black stockings and dance for you. But if you lose, you're off the hook, no punishment. I started laughing as soon as I heard that. If you just want to dance, you could have said so. Why bother setting up a bet you'll definitely lose? Gao Ye immediately jumped in. Does that mean you're agreeing? I nodded. Then, lowering my voice deliberately, I added, sure, I'll agree. But when you do dance, make sure to turn up the charm. The 6 women were speechless. They all started chasing me, yelling that I was a pervert. At that moment, the protesting homeowners downstairs finally pieced things together. Turned out that whole scene earlier, me crying and complaining, was just an act to hype things up. Zhou Wenchang smacked his forehead, realizing he'd been outplayed. Even so, he couldn't resist asking Huang Zhen. But before he could, I beat him to it and asked Huang Zhenhua directly, Brother Hua, did you really know about this in advance? Huang Zhenhua's face turned cold instantly. He shot back, are you accusing the 2 chairmen of colluding to scam people? Zhou Wenchang immediately shrank into himself. 1 second, he seemed ready to push for more, but in the next, all he could manage was a forced laugh. Igus, I'm just lucky. Huang Zhenhua didn't bother with him further, telling him bluntly, go calm the homeowners down. Once everything was settled there, we went to help Chun Shi check out of her place. But as soon as we arrived, the landlady came out. She was holding a flashlight, tape, and a permanent marker. I couldn't help but laugh at what I saw. Are we doing some post-disaster damage assessment here too? I teased. She smirked dismissively and started bragging about how their village was about to be demolished. Sihai Group would soon build luxury apartments here. Her daughter worked at a brokerage, she claimed, and had personally told her, new chairman Yang Chun, everything he buys skyrockets in value. Hearing this, I had a pretty good idea of what was going on. This project had to be cut, no question about it. Getting involved with a setup like that, who knows how much more trouble it could bring. Looking at her, I grinned and asked, so, Auntie, you've got Sihai Group all figured out, huh? Her grin was so smug you'd think she'd won the lottery. She added confidently, the ball's in my court. Not even half an hour later, she had plastered tape all over Chan Shi's apartment. Finally, she declared there were 245 instances of damage. With a discount, she wanted 2,000 yuan, plus another 700 for utilities. Chun Shi panicked, immediately pointing out that many of these were just normal wear and tear. But the landlady wouldn't listen. Honestly, it's all about exploiting decent folks in a hurry to leave. That's their specialty. Finding ways to exploit honest people. I raised a hand, signaling for Chun Shi to stay quiet. Then I said just one thing. Let's go to the village committee. At this, the landlady got even cockier. My husband is the village head. Go ahead and complain all you want, she sneered. I couldn't help myself. I laughed on the spot. There's nothing more fun than dealing with these nepotistic types. I called Zhang Jinsong right away to confirm that the Yuan Gang project was already shelved. In fact, the first 10 billion yuan down payment had long been pocketed by Wang Sihai. Once I had that confirmation, I took the group straight to the village committee. As soon as we arrived, the village head, Wang Changgue, started twisting the narrative, trying to turn black into white. Not one for politeness, I argued back immediately. Realizing he couldn't outtalk me, he resorted to calling in people to block the road with wood. Clearly, he intended to physically prevent us from leaving. I told Qin Shi to check the USB drive. Thankfully, all the data was there. Sure enough, we found something useful. Wang Changgue had accepted a 12 million yuan transfer, plus 5 million yuan in cash. Without hesitation, I handed the evidence to Chun Lu and told him to bring his team over for an arrest. Meanwhile, the landlady still had the gall to taunt us, claiming we were just wasting our time. I turned to her, smiling, and calmly replied, "Go ahead, call all the big-shot relatives you can think of, and let them know that Yang Chun, the chairman of 4C's Group, is stuck in the village." She froze on the spot. I stared at her and spoke bluntly. "My name is Yang Chun. You crossed my assistant, which means you crossed me. This project is cancelled, and today, we're tearing down all the illegal constructions in your village." Her face turned pale instantly, but Wang Changui refused to believe it. The old man even came over and mocked me, saying I was bluffing. I didn't bother arguing with him. I raised my hand and pointed to the distance. "They're here. Ask them yourself." As soon as I finished speaking, a dozen cars sped up and pulled over. The car doors flew open, and Zhang Jinsong jumped out first, immediately cursing. He yelled at Wang Changui for being bold enough to block Chairman Yang's car. Wang Changui's legs buckled on the spot, and he began stammering. He looked at me, trembling, and asked, "Why you? You're really Yang Chen." Sang Hinson snapped, "No du." With that, Wang Changui was completely unnerved. He immediately shouted, "Don't move, don't move." Then he spat on his hands, rolled up his sleeves, and started dragging the wood away. He laughed nervously the whole time, blaming some idiot for leaving the wood there. As soon as the wood was cleared, he bowed his head in apology, promising to refund the deposit and begging me not to cancel the project. I chuckled coldly. "You know exactly what you've done. Some money isn't worth taking." Zhang Jinsong climbed onto the car roof at that moment, shouting to the whole village, "The Yuangang village project is scrapped because the Wang family tried to extort money." His words immediately set the entire village off. What once seemed like a golden opportunity now shattered into pieces. And in an instant, all the anger turned toward the Wang family. Wang Yanzhao tried to stand firm, but villagers quickly pointed fingers and even threatened violence. He collapsed in defeat almost immediately. Wang Changui gritted his teeth and muttered that I was playing dirty, then tried calling for help. But here's the kicker, none of his connections came through. His younger uncle bailed. His daughter didn't dare intervene. All those seemingly solid relationships scattered the moment trouble hit. Not long after that, police sirens wailed. Chun Lu arrived with his team, pulling over and arresting folks on the spot. Wang Changui and Wang Changle were both pinned down instantly. Chun Lu even showed the evidence of money transfers in front of everyone. The moment Wang Changui saw it, he completely broke down. His legs buckled, and he looked utterly defeated. Chun Lu came up to thank me. I didn't exchange pleasantries, just told him one thing. Recover the stolen funds ASAP. Truth be told, my goal wasn't just sticking up for Chun Shi. The bigger plan was to use this situation to axe the money-losing Yuangang village project. The 4C's Group already has enough burdens. I can't afford to keep dragging around a deadweight project like this. I need a leaner, more efficient operation. Wang Sihai's leftover shells were just tools for cash flow and leverage. Holding on to projects like this would only drag me to the depths. I wasn't here to play nice. I seized the opportunity and killed the project. After everything wrapped up, I told Chen Shi and the others to head back and pack. But just as they were leaving, the landlord auntie caught up with us. This time, her tone had changed. She meekly refunded Chun Shi's deposit and tearfully begged for mercy. Chun Shi just gave her a single response. "This has nothing to do with me." With that, she turned and went upstairs. Meanwhile, the police began demolishing the walls of Wang Changui and Wang Changle's homes. The second the walls came down, bags full of cash spilled out. The look on the Wang family's faces turned ghostly white. Long story short, Wang Sihai and Wang Changle had fled long ago. The only one left holding the bag was Wang Changui. Not long after, Chun Shi returned, telling me they had found a ton of cash. I nodded and said, "All right, let's grab some food." By 3 p.m., the 5 bank managers came to visit again. This time, they weren't here to collect debts. Instead, they offered me another $100 million Eagle dollars in loans, encouraging me to head to the Eagle stock market that evening and keep raking in cash. They even joked, saying my recent moves had proven my capabilities. After all, the money would return to their banks in the end, and if necessary, they could always freeze the funds. I said nothing, simply signed the contracts on the spot. The funds were in my hands immediately. Chun Shi stood by, stunned, finally asking, "Why are the banks lending to you instead of pressing for repayments?"
Ich glänzte her.
"You'll see tonight." After that, I handed her the 4C's Group leadership list. and instructed Chun Chao to start shorting Changhui Group. By 9:30 p.m., the $100 million Eagle dollars arrived in our account. I entered the investment department and told Chun Chao to pull up a list of the hardest hit stocks. I deliberately handed the decision-making over to the 5 investment advisors. They all waved me off nervously, clearly unwilling to pick, probably afraid of being humiliated again. Seeing that, I turned to Chun Shi. "Your turn, choose 2. She was sharp, turning her back to the screen. She waited until the rankings refreshed, then pointed blind. The 2nd and 4th. I immediately gave the instruction. Split the $100 million equally. Buy shares in Tom Technology and Haas Holdings. Don't go all in at once. Spread the purchases to keep the costs low." Chun Chao got to work right away. Meanwhile, the 5 advisors dug into the backgrounds of these 2 companies. When they returned, they were grinning. Turns out, both were classic junk stocks. Zhao Jing outright declared that I was bound to tank this time. 10 minutes later, the $100 million was fully invested. Glancing at the market, I announced, "All right, we're done for today. Investment team, head home." To be fair, everyone was dumbfounded. T+0 trading in the US market, and here I was saying to call it a day right after buying? To them, I was either insane or intentionally slacking. But I knew exactly what I was doing. My true target was Changhui Group, aiming to push it below par value and force delisting. As for these Eagle stocks, let's be real, they're just there to make a quick buck. Zhao Jing stopped me again, dead serious. She pointed out that with T+0 trading, the smart move was to cut losses immediately since the 2 stocks were likely to keep dropping. I waved my hand dismissively, speaking carelessly. "Whatever, it's foreign money. If we don't take advantage of them, who will? Wait till it's 10 times the value, then sell." After saying that, I directly closed the video. Those 5 advisors still wouldn't give up, handing me a pile of bearish reports. I didn't even glance at them and said one thing. "When I get out of the shower, I expect you all to be in black stockings, ready to dance." Huang Wei, always the most defiant, shot back immediately. She said the stock price hadn't reacted yet. I didn't hesitate and called her out by name. "You're talking too much. Later, you'll have to perform the most provocative dance. If you don't know how, learn now." She practically exploded. Snapped back about studying hard for 20 years, earning a master's degree in finance, and now being asked to learn some flirty dance. My response was short and dry. "If you don't learn, how are you going to hold onto your husband in the future?" She was furious, stomping her foot, while Zhao Jing tried to calm her down, telling her not to get worked up yet. She pointed out the 2 stocks I bought were still at low levels and might not actually go up. But before she could finish, she suddenly shouted, "They're rising!" At that moment, everyone rushed toward the screen. Damn, no one could have predicted it. Tomtech and Horst Holdings had suddenly started surging upward, aggressively. Especially Horst Holdings, its price doubled in no time. Huang Wei stood there, completely stunned. Chun Lan was the first to admit defeat, marveling aloud, 20 years of education, and it's still no match for your luck. She was a mixture of shock and joy, her eyes glued to the screen. Zhao Jing sighed, fully resigned now. She said we might as well stop staring and go change into stockings to fulfill the bet. When I came out of the shower, all 6 of them were ready. In perfect sync, they stood there in black stockings, bowing with an exaggeratedly servile, "Good evening, Chairman Yang." Zhao Jing even suggested they should all dance together to save time. I nodded. The music started. Girls' Generations G. Chun Shi and Huang Wei stood at the front with the other 4 in the back row. Each move was more exaggerated and intense than the last, their effort to sell the dance painfully obvious. Honestly, even I didn't expect the scene would hit me like that. Once the music ended, I called out Huang Wei to perform a solo. She really went all in, directly facing me, swaying her hips, arching her back with flirtatious winks. It was an all-out effort. At the end, she even deliberately asked, "Chairman Yang, am I seductive enough?" I wasn't sure what to do at that moment, so I quickly turned away, saying, "That's enough, you can all go to bed." Then I headed straight into the restroom myself. Behind me, I could hear them laughing uncontrollably in the hallway. At some point, She tried to remind them. She said that once I'd grown accustomed to treating her as a secretary, I might not have the patience to deal with the others anymore. Her words instantly silenced the 5 advisors. The air became noticeably heavy. Zhao Jing quickly tried to lighten the mood, and soon everyone dispersed to their separate rooms. The following morning, a bit after 9 a.m., we arrived once again at 4C's Group's investment department. Chun Chao started with his report. We've secured 1.6 billion shares of Changhui, roughly 20% of its total equity. After hearing that, I made a decisive call. Short all of it. Take it down hard. Drive it to delisting at face value. At market open, Changhui stock jumped to its daily limit because of a $30 billion investment converting into $24 billion debt, news announcement. The stock opened at 2.56 yuan. Chen Chao didn't hesitate. He placed all 1.6 billion shares into the short position at once. Barely any time passed before Sun Changjing called me directly. She sneered over the phone, asking if I intended to fight her to the death. I didn't mince words. You tried to get rid of me. What? I can't fight back? She ranted about Changhui's strong automotive business, claiming that thinking I could short them into delisting was nothing but a pipe dream. I didn't bother listening to her nonsense and tossed my phone onto the desk after cutting her off mid-sentence. It didn't matter to me one bit. And then, suddenly, movement in the order book. Large blocks of stock started smashing through the sell orders. One moment Changhui was locked at the upper limit of the price band, and the next, its ceiling burst wide open. Then it started falling straight into freefall. By the end, it hit limit-down pricing. The entire investment department was left dumbfounded. Chen Chao turned to me, asking, Chairman Yang, how did you know it would collapse? I shrugged with a casual tone. Sun Changjing threatened to kill me, so shorting her was just retaliation. It's not like I expected such incredible luck. The moment we shorted, it imploded. Huang Wei couldn't help but roll her eyes, accusing me of bragging. But she immediately backed me up. She mentioned how that other time, Zhang Lei brought 26 people to surround me, and I beat them all off single-handedly. Huang Wei was left speechless, her face turning slightly red. Ultimately, she admitted her mistake. She even offered to dance solo that night as an apology. Just then, I got a call from Huang Zhenhua. He informed me that Baoli and Wonka had repurchased the 7 buildings at the filing price. 14 billion was set to land that afternoon. He also asked if I'd be willing to take on the Yuangang Village project. I refused right away. Yuangang Village isn't fit for residential development. I've got $3 trillion in debt weighing me down. I don't need another mess. But Huang Zhenhua wasn't ready to drop it. He upped the offer. Surrounding land included 0 cost upfront, exemption from local development and value-added taxes. After hearing that, I laid out 2 conditions. First, resettlement must follow the legal minimum standard. Second, Changhui would be permanently prohibited from bidding on any project in Jiangcheng. Huang Zhenhua asked why. I didn't hold back, explaining how Sun Changjing had tried to embezzle $30 billion while sucking $60 billion into her scheme, and even sent people to corner me. Hearing that, Huang Zhenhua promised to discuss with his team. If negotiations failed, he'd follow my terms. After the call, I immediately directed Zhang Jinsong to handle Yuangang Village. The task was simple. Secure every possible piece of associated infrastructure. By the time trading concluded that afternoon, news was already spreading in the market. Word was out that some mysterious capital had shorted Changhui with 1.6 billion shares. Accusations quickly pointed at me and 4C's group. Changhui scrambled to issue clarifying statements. But it was pointless. Local authorities in Jiangxing had already launched investigations into their practices, from refurbishing cars to double contracting and tax evasion. The following morning, Changhui opened with a steep plunge. Over the week, it hit consecutive lower limits day after day, tumbling all the way down to 1.53 yuan. Sun Changjing couldn't handle the pressure and had to announce new buybacks. Meanwhile, I invited several bank presidents out for dinner. The goal was straightforward: force them to pick sides. And these presidents weren't dumb. This is paragraph 14/16. Following your logic, the process content while maintaining the paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout is as follows. Immediate action was taken. I secured support. Longhui Group must settle their debts. If they don't, file for bankruptcy liquidation. But I didn't accept just empty words. If I wanted headquarters to truly back me, they'd need to see real money. So, right there and then, I told Chen Chao to sell the stocks he held once the US stock market opened. Turn the 1.1 billion renminbi and $100 million all into USD for debt repayment. These past few days, after repeated T+0 operations, the original $100 million had already rolled into 600 million. Pay off 250 million of the loan first. After repayment, 4C's group still had $350 million left in its account. When the bank managers saw that, their confidence skyrocketed instantly. They immediately began reporting back to headquarters. By Sunday night, the big 5 banks officially took action. The branch managers issued a unified stance. Debt collection begins on Monday. file for bankruptcy within 3 days. After making their announcement, they collectively shut down their phones. The news caused an immediate uproar. Long Hui's partners started pressing for repayments overnight. Sun Changjing's phone was blown up with calls. Even the shareholders were screaming at him. He couldn't take it anymore and finally called me, starting off with insults. I simply returned his words with one sentence. You and your son have always wanted to take me down, right? Let's see who falls first. He sneered coldly over the phone, saying we'd both see what we're made of. I just replied, focus on stabilizing your stock price tomorrow first. Before the market opened on Monday, Long Hui Group gave a last-ditch effort at self-rescue. Release after release of announcements came flooding out. Sun Changjing increased his own commitment to stock purchases to 1 billion. Executives chipped in another 50 million. They even pledged no sales for 3 years. Even their institutional partners voiced support, promising funding assistance. The news did give their stock a boost. The price temporarily surged by 8%. Watching the rally, Sun Changjing grinned from ear to ear, probably thinking he had actually turned things around. But who could have predicted, in the very next moment, the market flipped. Stock prices dipped from up 8%, plummeting straight to down 8%. Before any breathing room, it hit the limit down. That's when Sun completely panicked. He rushed to personally buy more shares. But what's even crazier? Those institutions that had supported him turned around and dumped their holdings. Fuming, he called them one by one, demanding an explanation. Zhang Shi gave him a brutally straightforward answer. If we don't sell, where's the money coming from to support you? Hearing that, Sun smashed a cup in a fit of rage, cursing out loud. What followed was even worse. Bankers showed up. Several managers entered with notices from headquarters in hand. Their message was simple: either repay 85 billion or file for bankruptcy. Meanwhile, contractors and decorators were swarming the doors, one group after another coming to collect what they were owed. By now, Sun Changjing was well and truly cornered. And me? I couldn't even be bothered to check the stocks. At that moment, I was lounging by the pool with 6 beautiful women, soaking up the sun. Chun, she had just peeled a grape and fed it to me, smiling as she said, "What's there to stress about? We don't have to do a thing. Just sit back and enjoy." Of course, I was calm. With my guaranteed shorting success skill, there was no way Sun Changjing could turn the tides. To put it bluntly, no matter how he struggled now, it was all just useless thrashing. Huang Wei watched me relaxing and insisted on giving me a massage, saying she wanted to soak up some of my good fortune. Upon hearing that, Bai Ji and Gao Ye jumped in, fighting for a turn. Chun, she was more direct. Grabbing my head, she declared that spot was hers. Within moments, all 6 of them crowded around. I quickly grabbed a towel to cover my thighs. Honestly, the situation was definitely quite the test of self-control. The women couldn't stop laughing, massaging me as they edged closer, joking about whether they could absorb my luck by being near me. I stopped them with a reminder. All right, that's enough. Don't push your boss's limit too far. Zhao Jing chimed in with a straight face, saying that 20 years of tireless studying didn't pay off as much as pure luck. I shot back instantly. Without those 20 years of hard work, you wouldn't even have the privilege of kneeling here to give me a massage. Huang Wei groaned, visibly defeated, muttering how her decades of effort had only bought her the chance to kneel before me now. I chuckled and replied without missing a beat. Less talk, more hands-on experience. That comment earned me a collective chorus of eye rolls, followed immediately by another wave of laughter. Not much later, Li Jun and the other bank managers arrived. Chun, she got up to answer the door. Li Jun walked in with a grin, joking about how relaxed things seemed on my end. Wrapping a towel around myself, I led them inside to talk business. Once seated, Li Jun got straight to it. He mentioned hearing about my account balance being low and said they'd specifically come to deliver funds. A couple of days ago, I used foreign currency to pay off part of the loans. Headquarters was very satisfied. This time around, they were preparing to lend me another round of foreign currency loans. Chun Tao, ever the exaggerator, took it a step further, laying out a packed schedule for me. Morning, Longwa stock market. Afternoon, Europe. Evening, hardcore action in the US markets. I couldn't help but quip. What? You guys really see me as an all-purpose workhorse? Glancing toward the pool, the women, the grapes, and massages, I smirked and added, though I must say, being this kind of workhorse doesn't seem too shabby. The room erupted into laughter. I waved them off. Balance of work and play, that's the key. Of course, no one believed me. In that moment, Lu Hai suddenly sobered up, his tone turning serious. He said this money wasn't free. They were here to ask for my help in seeking vengeance. Hearing this, I straightened up. Years ago, Zhongfa Bank was blindsided by a joint shorting attack from Barclays, Deutsche, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan. The stock price plummeted from 55 renminbi all the way down to 5 renminbi. The entire banking sector lost 1.2 trillion overnight. Over 1 trillion got siphoned off by foreign capital. Now, their request was clear-cut. They'd fund me to hit back hard. Once profits rolled in, we'd split it 50-50. But there was one condition. Afterward, I'd need to publicly declare that this move was in retaliation for the foreign capital slaughter of Chinese banking stocks 15 years ago. My heart skipped a beat hearing that. This deal, plainly speaking, was a no-brainer. I didn't have to pay a dime, I'd get half the profits, and I could fiercely strike back at foreign powers. No matter how I looked at it, it was a win. But I didn't give an immediate yes. Instead, I laid out my own terms. This is the translated result with original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout maintained. Chonghui Group must be delisted. Go back and tell the head office no capital is allowed for rescue. Push the bank to apply for Chonghui's bankruptcy liquidation, and the court must accept it. If this can be done, I'll step in. If not, don't bother me while I'm enjoying the sun. After hearing this, the several bank presidents actually looked relieved. Lu Hai beat his chest on the spot. No problem. Li Jun was even harsher. If we can make back tens of billions, losing a Chonghui is nothing. That settled it. Once Chonghui is delisted, I'll make my move. After they left, I smiled at the 6 women. Come, keep pressing. Inhale and exhale. Meanwhile, Sun Changjing was truly breaking down. He spent the whole day endlessly making calls, begging for help, but no one paid any attention. In the end, with no other choice, he had to head over to the Beijing city government. He begged for coordination, for an injection of funds. But when the city government saw the current bleak state of the property market and the lack of new energy innovations in auto trade, who would want to touch a company like Chonghui now? In the end, they only agreed to coordinate help but outright refused any funding injection. What was even more ridiculous, as Sun Changjing had barely stepped out of the city government building, an order from their superiors was issued. Beijing must ensure the orderly delisting of Chonghui. Sun Changjing heard this and was completely stunned. He quickly turned back to ask why. The mayor didn't hold back. Straight-faced, he told him outright, word has already spread that Chairman Yang is helping the big 5 banks take revenge on foreign capital. When compared to that, a company like Chonghui with no technology is utterly insignificant. At that moment, Sun Changjing was utterly dumbfounded. Back home, he locked himself in a room. The more he thought, the more he regretted it. Let's be real. It all stemmed from that trivial affair with his son, which compelled him to seek revenge on me. Knowing that the higher-ups were protecting me, he still tried to go against me. Now look, it's all too late. He knew perfectly well. Once the news got out that evening, Chonghui would hit the death limit down the very next day. Delisting was already a foregone conclusion. And now, his biggest fear was no longer about the company. It was about their own lives. Once delisted, tens of billions in shareholder losses would all be pinned on the Sun family's heads. If those people couldn't get to me, they'd eventually take it out on his father and son. The more he thought, the more terrified he became. Eventually, he could only swallow his pride and call me. At that moment, I was eating grapes peeled by Chen Shi, watching the other 5 women dance in black stockings. When my phone rang, I glanced at the caller ID and picked up with a smile. What's this? Another threat. Who would have thought? Sun Changjing immediately softened. The defiance he had before was completely gone. He opened with a plea of surrender. Chairman Yang, I was wrong. I'll give you all my shares. Just please don't let Chonghui get delisted. Anything is negotiable. I almost laughed out loud after hearing that. I simply replied, I'm not interested in your worthless company. Sihai Group is already plenty for me to play with. He quickly asked, then what's your condition? I chuckled and replied with one line. What I want is for Chonghui to delist. After I said that, I hung up directly and blocked him for good. Let's be real. He was the one arrogantly swearing to take me down before. Now he's the one kneeling and begging for mercy. Why would I ever let him off the hook? At 8 a.m. the next day, Chun Chao called. He sounded anxious. Boss Yang, the company's entrance is swarmed with customers who bought Sihai financial products. They're holding banners demanding their money back. The moment I heard this, I stood up. I told security not to use force just yet. I said I'd be there immediately. Sihai Financial had sold products totaling 50 billion. Out of that, 10 billion was already overdue. and I had an agreement with the Jiangxing city government to fill this gap within the year. I brought the 6 women with me to the office. Once we got there, I saw customers already shoving at the security guards. The moment I stepped out of the car, I shouted, "Stop!" But when the customers saw me, they got even more agitated. They started chanting at me, "Sihai Financial, return our hard-earned money," shouting as one over and over for an entire minute. The leader of the group was Huang Haiming, a finance professor from Jiangcheng University. The most ironic thing is this. Back then, many of Sihai Financial schemes were brainstormed with his help. And now, he himself had thrown in his life savings. Not even his principal is recoverable. He's truly dug his own grave. He stood there interrogating me. Said I'm the chairman. If not me, then who should they turn to for their money? And they weren't asking for anything extra at this point, only for their principal. The other customers chimed in, supporting him. One couple said they spent their whole life saving money through street vending, trusting in a big-name company. Someone else said the affair had led to their divorce and the loss of their house. Someone even knelt on the ground, begging me to return their principal. Watching this scene, my heart felt heavy. But despite the weight, I couldn't make rash promises. Right now, I don't have the money, and promising something I can't deliver won't help at all. I sighed and asked everyone to stand first. Then I laid out the situation plainly. First, the delay isn't my fault. Don't paint me as your enemy. Second, the company genuinely doesn't have the money right now. As soon as I finished speaking, a system prompt popped up. Because I refused to provide immediate payment, I was rewarded with a script master skill. Huang Haiming immediately pressed me further. What's that supposed to mean? Are you paying or not? I looked at him and replied calmly. I don't have the funds right now, but that doesn't mean I won't pay later. As the majority shareholder, I will definitely find a way to recover the money. After I said that, the tension among the customers clearly lessened. Some began asking how I planned to resolve this and whether I could provide a timeline. I made a direct promise on the spot. At the latest, by this time next year, the full amount with agreed interest will be settled. This is 50 billion, not $50. You'll have to give me time. If you keep pushing and drive the company into bankruptcy liquidation, everything, land, buildings, will go to the banks first. If that happens, you'll get absolutely nothing. What I said was blunt but realistic. Most customers nodded after hearing it. They began slowly rolling up their banners. But Huang Haiming still wasn't convinced. He kept holding on to me and refused to let go. You have to pay today. Otherwise, I'll die right here. I looked at him, my expression darkening. I motioned for the 6 women to back off. The security team was already raising their batons. I stared at Huang Haiming and spoke firmly. Professor Huang, this is going too far. At that moment, I turned toward Yang Mu. I brought another matter directly to the table. Here is the process content in English while keeping the original structure, paragraph breaks, and layout intact. I don't have the money to settle my debts now, so I can only acquire Jiayue for 800 million. Artists willing to transfer to Sihai Entertainment can sign new contracts. Those unwilling to go will terminate their contracts on the spot, with no penalty fees. I promise to pay the owed salaries and appearance fees within a year. Yang Mu nodded. He told the artists to give their response within 3 days. Huang Min was the first to step up. I'll terminate my contract. I just hope to receive the money owed as soon as possible. I gave her a promise on the spot. Her owed appearance fee of 180 million would be paid within a year. Once she spoke up, the other artists followed suit, terminating their contracts as well. In the end, only 4 stayed behind: Zhu Yunlong, Du Yunjiang, Yang Min, and Dilly. To put it simply, they were afraid they wouldn't find better opportunities elsewhere. I made the decision on the spot. For the 4 staying, after the acquisition is complete, directly sign with Sihai. For everyone else, sign a supplementary agreement to settle the debts within a year. After saying that, I immediately announced the meeting's end. After Yang Mu and the others left with the group, 6 women walked in, and Zhao Jing was the first to ask me, why spend 800 million to buy a company that's been losing money for years and is in debt? I didn't hold back. I just said it directly. I want to raise my own stars. As soon as I said it, Huang Wei scolded me, calling me a pervert. Zhao Jing said I was getting corrupt. Chenlan, Baiji, and Gaoya also criticized me right after. Chun, she stammered for a while before finally asking softly, are you just looking to mess around? I listened, smirked, and deliberately teased them. When you make money, aren't you supposed to enjoy life? Let me ask you, have any of you ever had a man? All 6 shook their heads. I immediately followed up with, Does the hospital count? With that, their faces instantly turned red with embarrassment. They all rushed at me in a flurry to hit me. On the surface, I dodged, but my hands didn't stay still. In the commotion, I took full advantage. Honestly, when the opportunity presents itself, why waste it? After we had enough of the chaos, I told them all to leave. I also notified Chongqing to come by in an hour. After the 6 left, I immediately got down to business. I organized the formula, process, and clinical data for the slimming pill. I even wrote top secret on the cover. As soon as Chongqing arrived, I handed everything to him directly. I instructed him to assemble a development team, produce samples, conduct human trials, and hurry up with the patent application. After completing that, I started pondering over Sihai Entertainment's projects. I eventually decided to base it on Lost in Her, and began drafting a script. I worked straight until 11 p.m. That's when Huang Wei came over and asked me what I was doing. Without looking up, I responded directly. Writing a movie with a 3 billion yuan box office target. As soon as I said that, Zhao Jing burst out laughing. You didn't even get into high school. What could you possibly write? The others nodded in agreement. Their disbelief was written all over their faces. When I heard that, I boldly proposed a bet. If the box office exceeds 3 billion, you all have to line up and kiss me morning and night. If it's less, I'll take orders from you all from now on. She even suggested lowering the goal to 300 million. I refused outright. I insisted on 3 billion. Zhao Jing was taken aback by my confidence. She reminded me that the highest box office in Dragon Nation was only 1.2 billion. I added, if it surpasses 3 billion, you'll not only have to kiss me morning and night, but you'll have to wear black stockings, hold me, and then kiss me. As soon as I said that, the 6 women exploded with outrage. They chased me all the way out of the office building. That's how we spent the week in a back-and-forth frenzy. Finally, I completed a 100,000-word script. On the same day, Sihai Entertainment finalized the acquisition of Jiayue Entertainment. Over at Sihai Health, the first batch of 100 slimming pills was also produced. At 10 a.m., Guo came in with Huang Min and 3 others to meet me. As soon as they arrived, I pushed the Lost in Her script in front of him. I made my point very clearly. Finish filming and release it within 1 month. When Guo heard that, it was obvious he was a bit overwhelmed. He said the schedule was too tight. I immediately tightened the pace. Right now, what 4C's Entertainment needs most is not explanations, not complaints about being broke, but works. If we want to regain attention, we have to quickly make the people who stayed become popular. Guo was no fool, and he understood right away when he heard that. He stated on the spot that he would fully follow through. At that moment, Di Li was a little hesitant beside us. She said softly that she was too fat now and was afraid it wouldn't be appropriate. I looked at her and said directly, "You're just right. If you weren't fat, how could you endorse it?" She froze on the spot. It was obvious she didn't understand. I then made it clear. Endorse 4C's weight loss pills. As soon as those words came out, Yang Min reacted the fastest and immediately wanted to jump in. Seeing that, Di Li no longer had the luxury of hesitation and quickly changed her answer to agree. Before long, Chongqing brought over 2 bottles of medicine. He made it very clear. 14 pills per bottle. Takes effect in 1 week. I instructed Di Li on the spot. She had to record a video after breakfast every day. Eat normally, no dieting. What I wanted was the most authentic effect. I couldn't leave any loopholes. After everything was arranged, Guo first took Di Li and Yang Min away. Just after Chongqing left, she came in with Huang Wenbiao, the chairman of Jiangta Pharmaceutical. As soon as Huang Wenbiao entered, he skipped the pleasantries and directly asked for help. He dumped out the whole mess of the Ozempic side effect scandal, along with the 780 million yuan in creditor claims all at once. In the end, to put it plainly, he wanted me to use the money I'd earned in the stock market to help him pay off his debts first. After hearing him out, I just spread my hands. The banks are watching this money. I can't possibly divert it. Besides, the debt belongs to Sihai Healthy Life while Sihai Investment is Sihai Investment. They aren't the same entity. If I go plug that hole now, that would be illegal. After saying that, I shook my head. I refused without leaving even a sliver of room. Just after I refused, the system reward arrived. Super breast enhancement drug. The formula and data were all in the USB drive. I immediately felt completely reassured. In plain terms, the things Sihai Healthy Life could do in the future went far beyond weight loss. Seeing that I wasn't agreeing, Huang Wenbiao hurriedly asked me what we should do then. I didn't keep him in suspense and gave him the plan right away. Pay the fine in installments. Keep the factory running. but from now on it can only do OEM work for Sihai. First get the slimming pills made, and once they're done, I'll settle the payment with you. Huang Wenbiao was still uneasy. He frowned and asked me. The weight loss drug had just blown up in scandal, so how was this stuff supposed to be sold now? I answered him directly. Get a new company to take the orders. Your old brand is already rotten to the core. Why keep it around? After hearing that, he looked completely deflated. But to put it bluntly, he had no other way out left, so he could only nod and agree. In front of him, I directly called Huang Zhenhua, and even deliberately put it on speakerphone. I requested a postponement of the penalty. Huang Zhenhua agreed on the other end. After hearing that, Huang Wenbiao was finally completely convinced. He turned around and went off to start the production line. Once he left, I instead started thinking about another problem. The product was there and it had an effect, but whether it could actually be sold was another matter. In this day and age, if you don't have traffic, even genuine products can be taken for scams. I turned to the secretary's office and went to find Chen Shi. I told her to sell the slimming pills through a Douyin livestream, and I even deliberately added one more sentence. Even if she gets cursed at, she has to keep broadcasting. Chen Shi was quite straightforward and agreed right away. She started streaming that very night. As expected, as soon as the live stream began, the barrage was almost entirely abuse. People were trashing her, trashing the product, trashing Sihai Group, everything and anything. But she still held on and streamed for 2 hours. After the stream, I took a bouquet of flowers to see her. Then I took her out for a late-night snack. To put it bluntly, this girl was really tough, but I still had to comfort her. A week later, the results were in. Fat D originally weighed 115 gene. In 7 days, she had directly slimmed down to 95 gene. Her whole body visibly looked one size smaller. And it wasn't just that she got thinner, her mental state was much better than before too. Early the next morning, she came to find me with a video. At that time, I had just returned to my office from the investment department. When I looked up and saw her, even I was stunned for a moment. She was so excited that she spun around in front of me. I really lost weight. This medicine is amazing. Chen Shi and the others heard it and quickly gathered around too. Zhao Jing spoke first. Did you secretly go on a diet? Fat D hurriedly shook her head. She said she ate normally, and the whole process was recorded on video. Huang Wei looked at her complexion again and added another line. She was also looking much better now. She didn't look anything like those people who had forced the weight off and ended up weak as hell. Seeing this real result, I finally felt completely at ease. There was nothing wrong with the product. From here on, the issue was no longer whether the product worked, but how to drive that effect hard and fast. I immediately started making arrangements. First, have Chongqing make the official announcement that Fat D was formally becoming the brand ambassador. Release the signed photos and videos, all of it. Then have Fat D post the videos of her weight loss process on Douyin. At the same time, have her go to the hospital right away for a physical exam. I had already specified the key items for the checkup: gastrointestinal tract, heart, liver, and gallbladder. And I specifically required the doctor to write the results clearly. The scans and test reports would all be shown to everyone during the live stream that night. I also asked Zhao Jing and the others to go along and keep up appearances. That way, those netizens wouldn't accuse us of faking it again. After arranging all that, I went back to the office to write the livestream script. As soon as Pang Di officially announced the endorsement, the fans exploded. A group of people started cursing her out. They said she was ruining her own future, that she had cheapened herself, that they were going to unfollow her. To put it bluntly, everyone was waiting to see her crash and burn. In the livestream room, Chen Shi followed the plan and said with a smile, "At 8 o'clock tonight, Pang Di will come in person to share her experience using it." The barrage comments got even nastier. All kinds of mockery, saying that now she'd take on anything for money. By evening, Pang Di and the others had come back from the hospital. As soon as she walked in, she was beyond excited. She immediately told me that her fatty liver was gone and her gastroenteritis had also healed. After saying that, she handed me all the medical records and examination reports. I glanced down at them, and my mind felt even more at ease. These results matched the clinical data provided by the system exactly. I gave the livestream script I had written to Chen Shi and Pang Di separately. Then I emphasized one thing in particular. This livestream tonight will decide whether this thing can truly break into the market. At 7:30 p.m., Chen Shi started the livestream on time. I had the operations team buy 100,000 views in advance. The livestream quickly surged to 100,000 viewers online. But even with that many viewers, the barrage of comments was still full of abuse. The insults were especially vicious. As soon as 8 p.m. hit, Pang Di appeared on camera. She began speaking according to the rhythm of the script. 7 days from 115 gene to 95 gene. Videos of the entire weight loss process had also already been uploaded. The comments section didn't believe it at all. Some said she had been starving herself. Some said she had faked it. Others said it was just edited footage. She followed up by asking about the pharmacological mechanism. Pang Di answered according to the script. Promotes liver and intestinal metabolism. At that moment, Li Chenghao, a researcher at Dragon Nation Pharmaceutical Group, was eating while watching the live stream. Seeing this, he burst out laughing. He even sent a barrage comment mocking her. He said that if Sihai Health really had this level of ability, it wouldn't be carrying 3 trillion in debt. Their team leader, Huang Jianjun, hadn't taken this matter seriously at first, but after hearing Li Chenghao, he came over to take a look too. The two of them were just watching it like a complete joke. The live stream was still going on. She continued to press on in rhythm. Besides getting thinner, are there any other surprises? At this point, Fat D began to throw out her killer move. She said that Sihai slimming pills didn't just help with weight loss. They had also cured her mild fatty liver. Worried about side effects, she had even specially gone to Jiangxing First People's Hospital for a full checkup. The results showed that the fatty liver was gone and her liver had returned to a healthy state. As soon as those words came out, the bullet comments instantly exploded. Some people outright called them scammers. Others started making sarcastic comments, saying that this was practically good enough to win a Nobel Prize. She kept following up in the same direction. Fat D kept delivering more in rhythm. Could also improve mild gastroenteritis, regulate the gut microbiota, and clear the blood vessels. This made the live stream even more chaotic. Some people shouted that they were going to report it. Others started provoking her. If you've got the guts, then bring out the report. Meanwhile, at Harmony Hospital, an intern doctor named Huang Dongsheng was also watching the live stream. He had originally just been watching the spectacle with a smile. But when the bullet comments started demanding the report, Fat D actually brought out the scans and reports from around 6 months ago, all of them. Good grief. The camera brightened, and I went straight to the center position. The bullet comments first fell eerily silent for 1 second. The next second, it completely exploded. Someone spammed, "Holy shit." Someone recognized that the handwriting on it was actually Chief Lu's from Jiangxing First Hospital. Huang Dongsheng stared at the screen, completely dumbfounded. His mind buzzed. He hurriedly called his mentor, Cheng Daoming. At first, Cheng Daoming didn't believe it. But as soon as he heard that it was Chief Lu's handwriting from Jiangxing First Hospital, his attitude changed instantly. He shouted directly over the phone, "Hurry up and buy a few boxes back to try." On the other side, Li Chenghao was also stunned. He quickly called Huang Jianjun back. After carefully looking over the scans and the report, Huang Jianjun's expression changed all at once. He probably already understood in his heart. This kid from Sihai might really not be bluffing. So he gave the order directly. Buy a few boxes back for research too. By this point, my goal had been completely achieved. All I was waiting for was these insiders to make the first move. Pang Di waved at the camera and said with a smile, "I still have to shoot tomorrow, so I'm heading out first." She kept thanking everyone beside him. As soon as Pang Di left the camera, she jogged over to ask me, "Boss, how did I do?" I handed her a bouquet of flowers directly. "Pretty good performance. Hurry back to the set. I'll toast you at the celebration banquet later." She bowed repeatedly in excitement, then grabbed the flowers and ran off. As soon as she left, I immediately turned to look at Changsheng. "Put out 1,000 boxes." Changsheng froze on the spot. "Chairman Yang, most of this batch are basically here to call out fakes. Is 1,000 boxes enough?" I let out a cold laugh. "What I'm counting on is them helping me build my reputation." Changsheng lowered his voice, unable to help reminding me. "Costs only 50, and you're selling it for 12.88? I shot back at him. "We're the only ones with it, so why should we sell cheap? We'll sell it to foreigners later, 12.88 eagle coins a box. Those white guys who put on weight after 30 will think that's expensive." As soon as Changsheng heard that, he burst out laughing. He urged me to put it on the shelves right away. But I turned around and told Chen Shi to end the live stream immediately. Right now, it wasn't time to let netizens place orders on a large scale yet. Once the first batch of counterfeit-busting heroes got results from eating it themselves, the word of mouth would naturally start snowballing. Only then would it be the real viral moment. Not long after, the operations team launched 1,000 boxes. Chen Shi read directly from the script. "We're starting with 1,000 boxes. Any babes interested can place an order." The moment that line went out, the bullet comments exploded again. Everyone was cursing 1288 as a black-hearted price. But to put it bluntly, that was exactly the effect I wanted. The more they cursed, the more people wanted to buy it back and slap them in the face. And once they bought it and ate it, it was no longer up to them. After the live stream ended, I handed the flowers to Chun Shi. You worked hard. You did great. Starting tomorrow, don't go live for now. Wait until the first wave of word of mouth starts fermenting on its own. After hearing that, Chun Shi nodded happily. I know. On the other side, that influencer heart disease flying was also being urged by the barrage of comments to expose the scam. He was pretty happy about it, and directly placed an order for 10 boxes. He even said it on the live stream. I'll test it first. If there really is a problem, I'll refund 1 and compensate 3. I'm counting on this to get through the new year. Once he bought it, quite a few fans followed suit. Wang Dehai also bought 10 boxes over there. Right after that, influencers like Ironhead Exposes Scams and Four Eyes Exposes Scams all jumped in too. Overnight, it directly sparked a grand anti-counterfeit campaign. And on my side, I returned to the poolside. I lay there enjoying the massage. Chun Shi occasionally fed fruit into my mouth. Huang Wei was massaging my legs and couldn't help asking. We've been soaking up Director Yang's blessings every day. I wonder if there's any effect. Zhao Jing laughed beside us. Should we go buy a lottery ticket tonight and give it a try? After hearing that, I immediately shook my head. The jackpot always goes to insiders. Outsiders can't win it. Just then, Wang Wenkong called. He said that a lot of people were now complaining that we were making false claims. I'm not panicking at all. I replied directly. Don't worry. For days later, the news will naturally come out. Wang Wenkong then passed my exact words on to Huang Zhenhua. Huang Zhenhua still clearly wasn't reassured. He immediately had every department and platform prepare emergency response plans. As soon as any negative news broke out, block it immediately. At the same time, over at the Research Institute of the Dragonland Pharmaceutical Group, the atmosphere had already gone wrong. Huang Jianjun announced directly. The Wanmei project is to be cancelled immediately. Li Qinghao got anxious on the spot. Team leader. This is the result of 2 years of our hard work. Huang Jianjun sighed. What he said was also very practical. We can't keep going. The Sihai Slimming Pill has real effects, safe ingredients, and can be sold at a high price. Even if we keep pushing it, there's no market for it. Most importantly, we can't detect that X ingredient at all. It has already taken over the high-end market, and on the low end it overlaps with our existing products. Right now, aside from admitting defeat, there's no other way. After saying that, he added, tomorrow I'll go report to the chairman. Then he took the report and left. The remaining researchers all silently deleted and tore up their materials one by one. To put it bluntly, that scene was just them being thoroughly crushed into submission. The laboratory at Dragonland Harmony Medical University was not idle either. Chang Daoming stared at the ingredient analysis results for a long time, and in the end he still sighed. He said it very directly. The last ingredient still can't be identified. It's very likely a new substance. If that's really confirmed, winning a Nobel Prize wouldn't be an exaggeration. The intern beside him, Huang Dongsheng, couldn't help asking. Then why have they never had any results before? Chang Daoming just shook his head. He couldn't make sense of it either. Just then, another intern hurried into the lab. Teacher, the physical examination reports for the 5 experimental patients are out. Chang Daoming snatched the report, compared the before and after scans, and instantly grew excited. The fatty liver has improved, the gastritis has improved, and the blood lipids have come down too. The effects are completely real. With that, the little bit of doubt left in the lab was basically gone. Chang Daoming made the decision on the spot. Report this to the dean tomorrow. From now on, the hospital's weight loss medication will switch to this one. Also, I suggest the Medical Insurance Bureau include it in the reimbursement list as soon as possible. To put it plainly, once these real experts confirmed it was genuine, they were actually faster than anyone else. Because they knew exactly what this thing meant. At 7:30 that evening, Heart Disease Phi launched his live stream. As soon as he came on, he displayed the test report and the usage report. Here are the test and usage reports for Sihai weight loss pills. I lost 12 gene in a week, and my second uncle went from 230 gene to under 200 gene. His fatty liver and blood lipids also improved. The barrage of comments exploded at once. Brother Fei, you really lost weight. Could he have been paid off? Xing Fei was quite straightforward, and replied with a smile. I'll stake my reputation on it. Every word is true. Anyway, I didn't buy the right wealth management product, so if it can buy me better health, it's worth it. On the other side, as Wang Dehai had just gone online, the barrage of comments was already going crazy. Xing Jifei has already announced the results. C-High Slimming Pills really work. Brother Wang, hurry up and post the results. Wang Dehai nodded and admitted it directly as well. The C-High Slimming Pills indeed had no false advertising. The experts even judged that the X ingredient is very likely a brand new substance, and there's a real chance it could win the Nobel Prize again. As soon as he said that, the comments exploded across the screen. Holy crap! This time, health is really amazing. Right after that, anti-counterfeit bloggers like Taitu, Cyan, Kuangbiao, and Bida all went live one after another. Each of them held up test reports and physical examination results, and all gave the same conclusion. The C-High Slimming Pills are genuinely effective and have no side effects. The only thing that couldn't be explained was that X ingredient. And as for me, I was staying in the villa, drinking wine while watching 6 women dance. While scrolling on Douyin, I happened to come across the DJ version of "The Train is Heading for That Spring." Seeing that, I got into the mood. I immediately had the others learn to dance it. Yingwei was wearing a short skirt and t-shirt, swaying her waist and hips. Chun, she was in denim shorts, black stockings, and a crop top, dancing with real energy too. To put it bluntly, these people usually acted so proper, but at times like this, the contrast was especially striking. Just as I was watching, Chang Sheng called. His voice was full of excitement. "Chairman Yang, all the debunking bloggers have put out their reports. The storefront's already been wiped out. Should we put the rest of the inventory up?" I wasn't panicked at all and replied calmly. "Everything's within expectations." As soon as he said that, he hung up. He was obviously thrilled out of his mind. I casually picked up a bouquet of flowers and handed it to Chen Shi, praising her. "That live stream went beautifully. Stop streaming for now and let the good word spread on its own." After hearing that, she nodded happily. Got it." On the other side, those anti-counterfeit influencers had already started selling products. In his livestream, Xing Jifei even deliberately teased that his fans wanted him to buy 4C's weight loss pills and gamble on a refund plus triple compensation. Laughing, he placed an order for 10 boxes. As a result, the fans followed suit and rushed to buy them. Anti-counterfeit number 1, Wang Dehai, also bought 10 boxes. Taitu, Si Yen, and the other bloggers also followed up one after another. Overnight, it directly turned exposing fakes into selling products. Meanwhile, I had gone back to lounging by the pool, enjoying a massage while watching these people build my reputation for me. To put it bluntly, I didn't need to go into the fray myself. They were already opening up the market for me. Huang Wei was massaging my legs as she asked, "We've been soaking up President Yang's luck here every day, but who knows if it's actually doing anything?" Zhao Jing said with a smile from the side. "Want to try buying a lottery ticket tonight?" After hearing that, I just shook my head. The jackpot always goes to insiders. Outsiders can never win. That left them all staring in disbelief. Just then, Wang Wenkong called. He said that a lot of people were now complaining that we were making false claims. Good grief. Over there, Huang Zhenhua was clearly getting anxious too. He snapped and asked me whether this medicine was actually reliable. I answered very firmly. Of course it's reliable. Once the first wave of results comes out the day after tomorrow, those anti-fake influencers will go all out, and the reputation will take off on its own. After hearing that, Wang Wenkong finally felt a bit relieved. He hung up and went to find Huang Zhenhua. Although Huang Zhenhua agreed verbally, he was still uneasy inside. He hurriedly told every department and platform to prepare full public opinion response plans. Once the backlash erupts, shut it down immediately. Meanwhile, over at the Dragon Country Pharmaceutical Research Institute, the Marumai plan had completely gone cold. Huang Jianjun announced the cancellation on the spot. The test results were already laid out there. The 4C's weight loss pills were genuine with clean ingredients. Most crucially, that X ingredient simply could not be broken down by anyone. That meant they had completely lost any competitive edge. Huang Jianjun took the report and went straight to the group chairman. Things were even worse for the researchers. 2 years of data, now clearly destined to become scrap paper. One by one, they were utterly breaking down. Delete what needed deleting, tear up what needed tearing up. To put it bluntly, it felt like working hard for 2 years, only to be stomped to death by someone in a single kick. Over at Harmony Medical University, they were also working overtime all night. Cheng Daoming led his students in repeated tests, but no matter how many times they tested, they still couldn't break down that X ingredient. In the end, he could only sigh. If this really is a new discovery, 4C's health may well win another Nobel Prize after artemisinin. When the physical exam results of the trial patients came out, Chung Daoming laid the before and after scans side by side and was completely convinced. Not only was the weight loss real, but fatty liver, gastroenteritis, blood lipids, and vascular issues were all improving. This was no longer an ordinary weight loss drug. Huang Dongsheng was instantly excited on the spot, and even wanted to go straight to visit Sihai. Chung Daoming, on the other hand, was a bit steadier. He made the decision on the spot. Report to the dean. Switch all of the hospital's weight loss drugs to this one. And they also had to strive to get it included in medical insurance. At 7:30 p.m. on the 5th day, Xingify started streaming again. This time, he displayed all the test reports and his family's physical examination reports in one go. He himself had lost 12 gene in a week. His second uncle had dropped from 230 gene to under 200 gene. Both fatty liver and blood lipids had improved. The barrage of comments started asking him whether he had been paid to say this. Xingify directly vouched on his reputation that it was all true. Right after that, Wang Dehai also started streaming. He dumped out the team's physical examination reports and the medical university's conclusion. The conclusion was just one sentence. The efficacy is completely real. That X component very likely really is a newly discovered substance identified for the first time. Even the Nobel Prize would not be a dream. At that moment, the internet completely exploded. Tai Tu, Si Yen, Quang Biao, Bida, and other anti-counterfeit streamers also gradually released reports. Their conclusions were strikingly consistent. No fucks, no side effects. The X ingredient was something no one could crack. And me? At that time, I was soaking in the villa, drinking the good liquor Wang Sihai had left behind, watching 6 women dance. After I saw the Douyin DJ version of The Train Heading for That Spring, I had them learn it. Huang Wei wore a short skirt and t-shirt, twisting to it pretty seriously. Chun, she wore denim shorts, black stockings, and a short tank top, and danced with quite a bit of energy too. Just then, Chang Shang called again. Chairman Yang, the anti-counterfeit bloggers have all posted reports. The first 1,000 boxes are sold out, and everyone's urging for more stock. I still said the same thing. Calm down, it's all in the plan. He then suggested putting all the inventory up at once. I stopped him outright. Only put up 1,000 boxes at a time. Don't feed them all at once, we need to create a sense of scarcity. Once distributors come to us on their own to discuss agency rights, we'll make money once on the drugs and again on the agency fees. As soon as Chang Shang heard that, he was completely convinced. He opened his mouth and praised me as a marketing genius. He followed my instructions and put up another 1,000 boxes. 1,288 per box, and it was still sold out in seconds. The comments section was full of people urging restocks. Even distributors had already hidden among the crowd, probing for information. Su Qianyi, the manager of Baixing Pharmacy, left a comment in the section, hoping a real person would step forward and speak from experience. Soon after, someone posted a medical exam report. Some said they had originally come for the investment product, but after trying a few pills, they lost 10 gene and their stomach felt much better. Others said their husband took 7 pills, lost 13 gene, and even his fatty liver improved. Once genuine reports from different regions and different hospitals came out, the skeptical voices immediately died down. To put it simply, what the public trusts most has never been ads, but the results others actually get from taking it. Sales reps from online channels like Jingdong, Alibaba, and Meituan also started confirming the news. They had already obtained the test reports. Safety and effectiveness were no longer issues. The only concern was whether the 1,288 price tag could hold up. But the facts proved there was no need to worry at all. The market had given its own answer. At 10 o'clock the next morning, just as I returned from the investment department, Chang Shang was already waiting for me at the door. He was practically buzzing with excitement. He said that ever since last night, his phone had never stopped ringing. Baixing Pharmacy, Tonggrentang, Jingdong, Alibaba, all of them were asking about exclusive distribution rights. I was too lazy to listen to his nonsense, so I made the decision right away. Friday night at 8 p.m., Jiangxing State Guest Hotel hold an auction gala. Online agents and offline agents will bid separately. The opening bid for online agents is 1 billion yuan. For offline agents 1.5 billion yuan, with lifetime authorization. Chang Shang was stunned after hearing that. Isn't that too expensive? I broke down the numbers for him right away. The national unified retail price is 1,288, and the wholesale price is 998. There are 340 million overweight and obese patients in the Dragon Nation. Add in the related complications, and that's a minimum market of 400 million. If we only develop 1% of customers, the agents can already recoup their money. After hearing the math, Chang Shang didn't say it was expensive anymore. Zhao Jing was still a little worried beside me. She asked what we'd do if nobody came. I just laughed. If nobody comes, even better. We'll just have a good meal and drink ourselves silly. After that, I told Chen Shi to contact the state guest hotel and book the venue. I wanted everything at the highest standard. Huang Wei, standing nearby, tried to tear me down. She said I was using the auction as an excuse to party and have fun. I casually tapped her on the forehead. Work and rest need to be balanced. That's perfectly reasonable. Remember to speak more tactfully in the future. After saying that, I added another jab. There are already plenty of unspoken rules in the finance world. Ordinary girls shouldn't casually get into finance. Unless you're pretty and willing to go all out. Huang Wei was so angry on the spot that she kept stomping her feet, saying she has a master's degree from a 985 university. What right does she have to rely on under-the-table deals? I shot back at her on the spot. You five, if you ever really run into that kind of under-the-table stuff in the future, don't make it cheaper for someone else. Come find me directly. With that, the 5 female consultants all blew up. They raised their fists and chased after me, trying to hit me. I laughed as I ran. And that was the end of it. On Chang Shang's side, he immediately sent out the invitations as requested. The time, location, how the agency rights would be divided, the starting bid, everything was written out clearly. At the same time, the Chinese Academy of Sciences was also pushed to the point where they couldn't sit still anymore. Renowned life sciences Dean Li Rend personally led the team. Chemical expert Wang Dawei assisted at his side. More than a dozen academicians huddled around that X component and studied it for 3 days and 3 nights, but still couldn't figure it out. In the end, Li Rend could only smile bitterly. He even wondered whether he had fallen behind the times. Wang Dawei's judgment was even more definite. The X component was most likely a newly synthesized artificial substance. Although he was feeling pretty frustrated himself, there was one thing he did understand. Fortunately, the inventor was from China. If 4Cs could be persuaded to make the formula public, then this year's Nobel Prize in Medicine would be almost guaranteed. So the two of them hit it off immediately. They decided to come to Jiangcheng in person to talk to me. When that group of academicians heard about it, they couldn't sit still either. Each one wanted to come and see for themselves what this X ingredient actually was. While things were booming like crazy at home, trouble from abroad soon followed. Those foreign health and weight loss brands had always sold pretty well in Longwa, especially South Korean GRM, which relied on a weight loss drug to rake in more than 200 million from Longwa every year. Now that the C-high weight loss pills had hit the market, GRM's Longwa headquarters immediately called an emergency meeting. Even Park Jeong-guk, the president of the South Korean headquarters, joined via video conference. Li En-hui, the president of the Longwa division, reported the situation very clearly. The effect of the C-high weight loss pills was just too strong. They didn't just help with weight loss, they also improved fatty liver and high blood lipids. And their product only had the one function, weight loss. Sales had already started to decline noticeably recently. After hearing this, Park Jeong-guk first asked how the lab tests were going. Li En-hui was also very straightforward. The public report showed that the ingredients were fine, but that X ingredient couldn't be identified by any laboratory. After hearing that, Park Jeong-guk actually smiled. Since no one knew what that was, right at this moment, who would have thought that people online had already started stirring things up? Just as I got up and went downstairs, she hurried over to me. She said that people online had started smearing the company. After hearing that, I wasn't worried at all. I just let out a cold laugh. The ones most anxious aren't us, but the creditors and the government. Just wait for the results. At 10 in the morning, I took them straight to the company. After sitting down, I opened a document and typed in 4 big words. I am not the god of medicine. At 3 in the afternoon, the expert delegation from Lonka Academy also arrived at C-High Health. As soon as Chang Shang received them, he threw out that line. The formula was given by Chairman Yang. Good grief. That group of academicians went petrified on the spot. Took them 3 seconds to react, and then they shouted that they wanted to see me. I didn't rush to see them. Instead, I had the team demonstrate on the spot how polymerized onion was actually synthesized. We even filmed a video and used it to prove its safety. By 4 in the afternoon, the police announcement was out. Those bloggers who took money to smear us were directly handcuffed and taken away. And one of them even blurted out on the spot that GRM was behind it. As soon as this news came out, it shot straight to the top of the trending searches. The video of the academician was also released simultaneously on Douyin on the C-High side. Get it straight. Ingredient X only helps metabolism, It does not harm the heart or nerves. Public opinion instantly reversed. The people who were still cursing a second ago all started rushing in the next. There was only one sentence in the comments section. GRM get out of Longwa. When GRM Longwa region president Lian Hui saw this, he was completely unable to sit still. He booked a flight that night and flew straight to Jiangxing to find me. Sihai Group stock price began to recover. As market sentiment picked up, there was only one thought left in consumers' minds. Push for deliveries. Still pushing for deliveries. Frantically pushing for deliveries. I took those few of them downstairs. In the lobby, Changshang was already accompanying 12 academicians there, lining up to wait for me. As soon as Li Ren saw me, he wanted to treat me to dinner. I directly turned him down. Let's talk about it at the state guest house tomorrow. Early the next morning, I still started by writing the script. After I had been writing for a while, 5 bank presidents came charging over. As soon as they sat down, they started trying to persuade me. Acquire the Jiangta pharmaceutical factory and expand production capacity. The reason was also very practical. It was selling like crazy now, and without enough capacity that wouldn't work. I hadn't wanted to borrow money anymore. These lenders were shouting support for me, but in reality, each of them knew exactly what they were thinking, and they were itching to tie me to the assembly line and squeeze the hell out of me. But what they said did make sense. Growing assets could also lower the debt ratio. Besides, this kind of core technology couldn't be outsourced forever. If it really stayed outsourced for too long, problems would arise sooner or later. I thought it over and nodded. Fine, go talk to the municipal government. Then I turned around and instructed Chen Shi. Sell off all the stocks on the White Eagle side. Transfer the money back as soon as possible. At noon, I went to attend a banquet with Li Ren and the others. As soon as I sat down, they started bringing up cooperation again. To put it bluntly, they were still after that X component and the Nobel Prize. I was too lazy to beat around the bush with them, so I went straight for the jugular. Cooperation is fine. Fair cooperation. If you want to use your title to pressure me, forget it. They really did start bringing up Nobel Prize eligibility. The implication was obvious. They wanted to trade reputation for benefit. Just then, Professor Tu Yun suddenly pushed the door open and walked in. As soon as she came in, she exposed their old fox routine for what it was. She even took the initiative to say that she could recommend me. I waved it off. I just want to be a businessman. I'm not fighting over these empty honors. After saying that, I paid the bill and got up to leave. Tu Yun didn't rush off. Instead, she became even more interested in the synthesis process. She wanted to see it with her own eyes. So I took her to the R&D base and let her watch the entire process. After seeing it, she praised me right away. She said my imagination was absolutely ridiculous. She also took the initiative to say she was willing to be my recommender. I thanked her. Then I had Changshang see her out. I had barely returned to my office when Lian Hui stormed in. The moment this woman walked in, she started crying. Crying while apologizing. The meaning was very clear. She wanted to settle it privately. I didn't even change my expression. Handle it according to the law. Seeing that I still wouldn't budge, she actually started taking off her clothes on the spot. She wanted to use that low-down trick to pin me down. Good grief. She really thought I was the kind of person who'd get carried away by lust and be dragged into the mess in a moment of impulse. Before she'd even gotten her clothes off properly, Chen Shi and the others rushed in. Without saying a word, they went up and pinned her down, beating her hard. I thought enough was enough, so I called for them to stop. Then I directly kicked her out, leaving only one sentence. Handle it according to the law. Once she was gone, Chen Shi and the others still reminded me seriously. Don't trip up over relationships between men and women. To put it plainly, they were also worried that one day I'd really be set up by those vixens. As they talked, someone was the first to bring it up. Why not play King Zhou catching concubines? When I heard that, I was amused. I agreed right away. They blindfolded me and took turns hiding so I could catch them. Whoever I caught counted. Honestly, after that game, there was only one thought in my head. Emperor Zhou really had it good. On the other side, Lian Hui cried all the way back to the hotel. She immediately reported to Park Jong-guk. As soon as Park Jong-guk heard it, he made the call right away. Half-price promotion to suppress the backlash. He had her rush out ads that same night. At 10 o'clock that night, I watched the trader closely and liquidated all the accounts on the White Eagle side. That move netted a clean 1.85 billion. I also had a plan in mind. From now on, I couldn't keep relying on just one account. I needed to open a few more and cash out slowly, little by little. Otherwise, it would draw too much attention. Just as I was thinking that, Changshang called again. He said that after GRM cut the price in half, sales had exploded. After hearing that, I didn't panic. Instead, I told him to grab a batch and bring it back for testing. Then I laid it out plainly to Chun Shi and the others. As long as GRM really works, there's a 90% chance it's laced with banned ingredients. If we can find sibutramine, consumers can get a refund plus triple compensation. By then, the weight loss drug won't be a weight loss drug anymore. It'll be a wealth management product. As soon as she said that, their eyes all lit up. They immediately started placing orders on the spot. They even borrowed money from one another to add to their positions. I reminded them, there's risk, but they wouldn't listen at all. They still wanted to gamble. The next afternoon, Li Eunhai was already thrilled out of her mind. As soon as she heard that GRM had sold 120,000 sets, she immediately had the factory work overtime. She also specially called Park Young-guk to share the good news, saying they should hold off for 2 years first, then strike back. As a result, not long after, Changsheng's call came in. The test results were out. Sure enough, GRM contained sibutramine and amphetamine. After hearing that, I just smiled. Hold it down for now. Wait until they ship out a bit more. Then announce it. To put it plainly, what I wanted was for it to sell as much as possible. The more it sold, the worse it would die when the refund and 3 times compensation came later. At 7:30 in the evening, I took Chen Shi and the others to the state guest house to eat king crab. The vice presidents from Jingdong, Alibaba, Baixing, and Tongrintang all arrived. Changsheng leaned over and said to me in a low voice, "Those people thought the starting price was too high and wanted to cut it in half." I said one thing directly, "Impossible." Then I had Changsheng throw GRM's inspection report straight over to them. As soon as those few people saw it, their expressions changed immediately. GRM was taken down on the spot, and they instantly understood how much tonight's agency rights were really worth. Before the auction started, GRM manager Hua Haiming even rushed in with people. What was even more outrageous was that they brought a banner as a gift. They were shouting that 250,000 orders had already been actually shipped. I almost laughed out loud after hearing that. I just nodded at him. Good, keep going. Ship more. He probably thought I had been suppressed. In fact, I was already grinning inside. This guy was digging his own grave. The auction officially began. The dual agency rights, online and offline, started at 2 billion. Yulei called out 2.2 billion first. Li Yong immediately followed with 2.4 billion. Yulei raised it to 2.6 billion again. The folks over at Baixing Pharmacy instantly got anxious. Yulei didn't beat around the bush and laid it out directly. Jingdong was determined to win Sihai Slimming Pills and use the opportunity to set up its offline presence. Li Yong hurried off to ask Chairman Ma for instructions. The entire venue fell silent at once. Everyone was waiting for a response from that side. Changsheng started the countdown. I turned my head and said to Chun Shi, "It doesn't matter whether Alibaba follows or not. 2.6 billion is already within expectations." Just as the words fell, Li Yong hung up the phone and blurted out, 3 billion. With that, the whole place was completely fired up. Yulei immediately called out 3.1 billion. Li Yong 3.2 billion. Then the bids kept climbing all the way up. 35, 36, 38, 40. In the end, Li Yong couldn't hold out any longer and gave up. Changsheng brought down the gavel. Jingdong, for billion, secures the dual agency rights. The entire venue immediately erupted in applause. Yulei then reminded me in a low voice, "Only after the signing can the GRM issue be fully exposed. That way, Jingdong can enjoy a wave of profits first." I nodded in agreement. We agreed to sign the contract the next morning. As soon as the auction ended, a SBS report quickly went viral online. The first half said that GRM's smear campaign against Sihai had been exposed. But the second half was praising GRM for selling more than 300,000 orders at half price. Even worse, it openly mocked the Chinese, saying that as long as there was a discount, they would line up to hand over money. It even quoted Park Jong-guk's line, "I may not know Sihai Slimming Pills, but don't I know the Chinese?" Word for word. This instantly sent domestic netizens into an uproar. Those who had bought it and those who hadn't were all cursing each other out. The comments section was exploding like a boiling pot. The next morning, Chun Shi showed me the trending search. After reading it, I said nothing at all. Register for Weibo under my real name directly. I posted the very first update. People who buy GRM aren't buying a weight loss drug. They're buying a financial product. Once the signing is over, I'll announce the new news. And I even came right out and said it, return 1, pay 3 in compensation. I'm gonna make GRM spit back all the money it's made in Longwa over the years. As soon as this post went up, it shot straight to the hot search rankings. People immediately started guessing whether GRM had a huge problem. And platforms like Jingdong and Alibaba had already started delisting GRM one after another. At 9:30 a.m., I officially signed with Jingdong. For billion credited. Yulei wasted no time either. Right after signing, he listed the Sihai Slimming pills on Jingdong Pharmacy. The ads were pushed out at the same time. Just after the contract was signed, I had Chongsheng release GRM's test report. I directly reported that it contained banned ingredients. Good grief. The 5 major departments moved almost simultaneously. They started by freezing GRM's related accounts. Huqing and Jiangxing both launched investigations together. The headquarters and all stores were sealed off. Li and Hui and the others were directly taken away. As soon as the news reached South Korea, Park Jong-guk instantly lost it. He was furious and cursed loudly over there. That night, as soon as the penalty announcement came out, everyone who had previously bought GRM received a full refund plus 3 times the compensation. Those who had been cursing me the hardest earlier turned around and thanked me in the comments on Weibo. Put bluntly, no matter how tough these people sounded, once real money was involved, they changed their attitude faster than anyone. I took the opportunity to post a second Weibo. I said that the agency rights for Sihai Slimming pills had already been sold to Jingdong. If you want to buy them, go to Jingdong Pharmacy. This time, we were not just selling medicine. We were also trying to awaken a bit of national pride. To warn those brands that make money off us while still disgusting us. Finally, I also casually teased the new product. Endorsed by Yang Min. After posting on Weibo, I looked up and asked Yang Min, "Have you thought it through?" She was still a little embarrassed and hesitantly asked me, "Do you think I'm small?" After hearing that, I immediately laughed. Precisely because it's not obvious. I'm having you endorse a breast enhancement drug. She was still a bit hesitant at first. But the fact that Fat D blew up overnight with the slimming pills, she saw it with her own eyes. To say she wasn't tempted would be a lie. So I simply upped the stakes. If you take the endorsement once the results are out, I'll give you the female lead in I Am Not a Drug Dealer. And with Lost in the Stars added on, I'll push you straight into the first tier with these 2 films. The moment I said that, she was hooked on the spot. Without any more hesitation, she agreed right away. I handed her 2 boxes of the pills, told her to take them as instructed and shoot Douyin videos as instructed. And I teased her casually. After you finish them, you'll be Big Minmin. Her face turned bright red at once. While I was busy pushing ahead with the new product and the film and television strategy, new opportunities came knocking outside. Yida Group's betting period expired, and they started selling off assets. Among them was 20% of Yida Pictures' equity, worth about 5.5 billion. I locked onto it immediately. I made the plan on the spot. First, let Sihai Healthcare lend 4 billion to Sihai Entertainment. Then let Sihai Entertainment borrow 1.5 billion from the bank. With 5.5 billion in hand, we would hammer down that 20% stake. Once we secured it, we'd become the 2nd largest shareholder. Just as the money had arrived, finance rushed in to report. For billion was gone. Before I could even say a word, the 5 bank presidents had already come to the door with Huang Wenbiao. As soon as Li Jun came in, he was still smiling and asking me to sign the contract. My face immediately darkened. I asked him point blank, "Where did the 4 billion go?" Li Jun was stunned too. He hurriedly said it wasn't him who moved it. Only after checking did we find out. The Beijing branch had lawfully deducted it. The reason was that Sihai Health owed Yunhai Trading 4.68 billion. Gui Yunhai had applied for enforcement. So the 4 billion was directly transferred away. When I heard that, I was seriously annoyed. These old bastards really knew how to pick the timing better than anyone. The moment they found a chance, they wanted to bite hard at me. I waved my hand. Leave first. After they all left, I had Chongsheng call Gui Yunhai directly. As soon as the call connected, Gui Yunhai was smug beyond words. He blurted out, "I still owe him 680 million. I warned him directly. 40 billion, transfer it back to me right now. Otherwise, I'll send you to prison." He didn't buy it at all. Instead, he even cursed at me. After hearing that, I hung up right away. I didn't bother wasting any more words with him. Then I turned around and printed out everything in the USB drive, his financial dealings with Wang Sihai, along with their chat records, and handed it to Chongsheng, telling him to deliver it to Wang Wenkong immediately. There was only one demand. Before noon, return the money. At the same time, hold Gui Yunhai criminally responsible. After Chongsheng read those pieces of evidence, his face changed completely. He immediately grabbed the materials and left. It was at this moment that the system prompt came again. The host refuses to pay Guo Yunhai back. Reward: mind reading, effective immediately. I was stunned for a moment. Then, to my surprise, I actually felt better. On the other side, Li Jun had already hurried to report to Zhao Kuan, the president of the head office. Zhao Kuan also made his position clear. If my subsequent work was affected by funding issues, the head office could first approve a 4 billion, interest-free loan for me, to be repaid at year-end. On my side, I first signed the acquisition contract for Jiangta Pharmaceutical Factory and the 1.5 billion loan contract. Then I called the 5 bank presidents back in. The contract terms were very clear. High Health would acquire Jiangta Pharmaceutical Factory for 350 million. Each of the 5 banks would lend 300 million. The government and the banks squeezed the price together, and in the end Huang Wenbiao walked away with only a 1 million fine. Li Jun brought up the 4 billion loan again. I smiled and waved it off. Let's get Gu Yunhai sent in first, then we'll talk. By 11:30, the finance department rushed in to report. The 4 billion had already been credited back, and it had already been transferred to High Entertainment. Soon after, Zhao Kuan called as well. He confirmed that Gu Yunhai had already been arrested. The money had all been recovered. Li Jun, who was standing nearby, was stunned by what he heard and immediately asked me what was going on. I didn't hide anything. I said it straight out. Gu Yunhai and Wang Sihai used to embezzle channel fees. Debts like that, of course, the court wouldn't continue enforcing. Huang Wei couldn't help asking me from the side. How do you know these inside details? I casually gave her a reason. I have a friend who works as a private detective. They were half believing, half doubting. But they didn't press the issue any further. After everyone dispersed, I just happened to use the new skill to test things out. I went straight to reading Li Jun and the others one by one. Well, damn. On the surface, Li Jun looked as steady as could be, but what he feared most was his own little affair getting exposed. Wang Baoguo was afraid his bribery would be dug up. Chun Tao was afraid his mistress would be uncovered. One by one, they all looked perfectly fine on the outside, but inside they were panicking like crazy. These old foxes were always the best at keeping up appearances, but once you really peeled back the layers, not a single one of them was clean. I had the situation figured out, but I didn't call them out. Just let them each go handle their own things. Then I called Guo Yi directly. I told him to get in touch right away about the Yida Film equity acquisition. The news came back quickly. Wang Shaoxin will host a banquet for all the bidders at the Dio Yutai State Guesthouse tomorrow evening. As soon as I heard that, I made the decision on the spot. I'm flying to Beijing. I immediately had Chun Shi book a flight for the next morning. I was determined to get that 20% equity. As soon as Zhao Jing and the others heard that Chun Shi was going with me, they immediately started teasing us. One thing after another, their jealousy was obvious. To put it bluntly, these people might not say it out loud, but each of them had their own little schemes in mind. After dinner, Chun Shi went to pack her luggage. With nothing else to do, the others suggested playing Do Diju again. As soon as I heard that, I decided to add a little wager. I'll be the landlord. If I win, each of you has to let me kiss you once. If I lose, each of you gets to kiss me once. With my mind-reading ability activated, I had it all figured out. They cursed me as a lecher on the surface, but deep down they were actually all willing. Gaoya even deliberately asked me, "What's the difference?" I smiled and replied to her, "One proactive, one passive." The few of them all rolled their eyes in unison, but in the end they still agreed. Once the cards were dealt, I already knew exactly what was in my hand. Zhao Jing had the worst hand. Gaoya was already thinking about throwing the game. Chun Shi's hand was even more outrageous. Bombs, the jokers, both big and small, were all in her hand. But even more outrageous was that she wasn't even thinking about how to win. All she could think about was how to deliberately lose to me. On the first round, I led with a 3. Chun Shi immediately came out with 4 5s as a bomb. I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. After that, she followed with 3 2s and a pair of jokers. This wasn't playing cards at all. She was clearly just sending everything into my arms. Gaoya was also cooperating exceptionally well on her side. She kept feeding me cards all the way. In the end, I barely won this round. Chun Shi was still putting on an act there, looking all frustrated, saying we should have left one bomb if we'd known earlier. The other few were trying so hard not to laugh they were about to crack. I wiped my mouth and went straight to the point. "Come on, hand over the reward." The 6 of them were pretty cooperative. One by one, they closed their eyes and tilted their heads back. I collected my dues from each of them in turn. At that moment, I really got it a little. Why someone like Master Wei's kind of life would make everyone jealous. We kept playing until very late. If I hadn't still had to catch a flight the next day, they probably would have wanted to keep going. By the time we'd finished kissing for a while, I was getting a little numb myself. For the first time, I felt that kissing could actually turn into physical labor. I'd even already started planning in my head. Next time, we're not playing this one. Might as well change it to whoever loses takes off one piece of clothing. On the other side, the GRM weight loss pill mess was still getting bigger and bigger. Huabing from Manhwa Entertainment had previously done an endorsement for GRM. Although the contract was set to expire at the end of June, she and the company both quickly issued statements, trying to cut ties cleanly. But the netizens didn't buy it at all. Her comments section was directly shut down by the abuse. Even more ridiculous, the film she starred in and was about to release, Chrysanthemum and Peach Blossom, was also dragged into the backlash by the audience. The investors had already started putting pressure on Manhwa Entertainment. The meaning was very clear: if the box office wasn't good, they would make them cover the losses. At 8 in the evening, I took Chun-Shi to the Diaoyutai State Guesthouse in Beijing. This trip was to attend the auction dinner for 20% of Yida Films' equity. Wang Shaoxin stood on the stage and opened with 5.5 billion yuan. As soon as the auction began, Lu Yuding bid 5.55 billion yuan first. I swept my mind-reading ability across them, and her trump card immediately came out. Her upper limit was 5.8 billion yuan. Right after that, Hua Jun followed with 5.58 billion yuan. I scanned again. Damn, this old guy's upper limit was also 5.8 billion yuan. Xian County Financial Investment then bid 5.7 billion yuan. This one could hold out a little longer with a maximum acceptable amount of 6 billion yuan. I just kept scanning like that all the way through. To put it bluntly, I figured out every single person's trump card at the scene. On the surface, these old foxes looked more composed than the next, but inside they were all frantically crunching the numbers. Unfortunately, with me it was all an open hand. Who would have thought that, with a single wave of my hand, I'd drive the price up to 5.95 billion. The entire venue fell silent at once. No one dared to bid. Feeling it still wasn't safe enough, I directly signaled Chun-Shi to rush in. She blurted out, 6.01 billion. Well damn. Everyone in the room looked over in unison. That look was basically the same as if they were looking at an idiot. In their eyes, Sihai was already rotting this badly, yet I still dared to push the price up like that. That old fox Wang Shaoxin called out 3 times in a row. Still no one added a bid. In the end, he dropped the gavel. 6.01 billion. Sihai Entertainment had won 20% of Yida Films' equity. As soon as the auction ended, Wang Shaoxin immediately came over with his son. First he asked who I was. Then he asked how I was going to pay. I answered very simply, sign tomorrow, and the money will be transferred immediately. He heard that and broke into a smile. The person selling assets fears running into a blowhard the most. Of course he'd be pleased with someone like me, someone bold enough to make a bid and actually able to pay. But that old bastard Huajun was not willing to give up either, and immediately came up to join in. With a sarcastic tone, he said that Sihai was already in that much debt, so where was I supposed to get 6 billion yuan? I scanned his thoughts and nearly laughed out loud. This guy really hated me so much his teeth must have been itching. He hadn't even gotten over the GRM incident. And now, seeing me snatch the equity right in front of him, he was probably cursing me 800 times over in his head. I couldn't be bothered to play games with him and just fired right back. I dare to bid because I can afford it. It's none of your business. Grinding his teeth, he brought up Huabing again. He said if it weren't for our mess, Huabing wouldn't have been dragged down too. I shot back at him on the spot. You didn't investigate properly before hiring her as a spokesperson. How does that become my fault? Seeing the atmosphere turn sour, Wang Shaoxin quickly raised his glass to smooth things over. After finishing my drink, I took Chun-Shi and left. After returning to the hotel, I first called Guo Yi. I told him to bring people to Beijing tomorrow to sign the agreement. Then I called Li Jun. Just come straight out and ask the ICBC for another 2.01 billion in loans. Li Jun didn't agree on the spot. He only said to come to the head office the next day and meet Zhao Kuan in person. After I finished showering, I went to open the door wearing only a bath towel. As soon as the door opened, Huang Min lunged straight at me. Well, that honey trap was way too blatant. But the moment I used my mind-reading ability on her, I felt sick. This woman wasn't here to throw herself into my arms at all. She wanted to film a video for Hua Jun and use it to trade for the position of top actress in the film industry. To put it bluntly, these people are the best at playing dirty tricks like this. They wanted to use me as a stepping stone, and at the same time drag me down with them. They really thought they could take advantage of my honesty. I didn't say a word. I just raised my hand and shoved her away. With a loud bang, the door slammed shut. She kept knocking outside. I didn't even bother with her. She heard the commotion and ran out. She raised her phone and took a direct video of Huang Min. When Huang Min saw that, she quickly covered her face and ran off. She turned around and asked me, "What's going on?" I didn't beat around the bush either. She wants me to sleep with her. Then I even managed to flatter myself a bit. I'm a gentleman who studies the spring and autumn annals. How could I ever touch that kind of trash? She immediately followed my lead and started cursing her too. She said that kind of slutty woman probably slept with who knows how many men, and might even have a disease. As I listened to her curse, I casually read her mind. Damn, this girl had already liked me for a long time. She just didn't say it out loud. Her heart had long since given her away. I felt delighted and pulled her straight into my arms. She didn't resist anymore either. At 9 o'clock the next morning, I went to ICBC. Zhao Kuan was surprisingly straightforward. He approved the 2.01 billion interest-free loan on the spot. He also converted Eagle currency into Dragon currency first to help me get through the emergency. At noon, the presidents of the major banks held another banquet at Dio Utai. Guai also sent word from his side. The equity was mine. In the afternoon, after I came out of ICBC, there was a G500 parked at the entrance. Shuehai's daughter drove the car over. Right then, Chunlei and Guiyu happened to walk by too. That woman Guiyu was disgusting from the moment she opened her mouth. She first introduced herself. Then she said she had always had a crush on Chunlei back then. And then she even thanked Chun-Shi for rejecting him. To put it bluntly, she was just trying to step on Chun-Shi. Even more outrageous, she started showing off too. She said she got into ICBC through Chunlei's connections. And that night she was going to Dio Utai to host Director Yang. After Chun-Shi and I heard that, we burst out laughing. I followed her lead and said, "Then tonight's standards have to be higher. King crab, Australian lobster, and caviar, bring them all out." Chun-Lei snorted when he heard that. He said I was just putting on airs, and that a street food stall would have been enough. The next second, Xue Qian's G500 pulled up and stopped steadily right in front of us. She got out of the car and handed me the keys directly. At that moment, Chun-Lei and Guiyu both went pale. I turned around and told Xue Qian to drive Chun-Lei away. She wasn't polite either and reprimanded him on the spot. Before long, Chun-Lei took a call, and his face looked even worse. He had been fired. Seeing the situation turn bad, Guiyu immediately dumped Chun-Lei. Then she turned around and ran to Chun-Shi to beg for mercy. Chun-Lei was furious and kept cursing. In the end, Guiyu came clean directly. She said she had gotten regular status by sleeping with the vice president. Good grief. Chun-Lei was instantly stunned. Xue Qian said she would be the driver. I nodded. Crying, Guiyu said she would go order the food and only begged us not to hold it against her. She even comforted her with a word and told her to leave quickly. After getting in the car, we went straight to the underground supermarket at SKP. As She shopped, she complained in a low voice. Yangguang rose 998 for 3 bunches. Cherries, 324 yuan a jean. Durian, 1,399 apiece. She said she was almost becoming shut-in. After hearing that, I asked her, "With my current status, is it too much to have a little of this kind of fruit?" I didn't have any cash on me, and I couldn't use the company card. So I asked her if she wanted some. She said she wanted to try it. Then let's buy it. I directly opened the creditor group and got those creditors to pay the bill. Xue Qian was already waiting at the cashier. She was still a little embarrassed. So I told her, "They're dying to curry favor with me. This isn't me taking advantage of them. It's me giving them a chance." So we went and loaded up 2 whole carts of fruit. Just then, Brother Daluo was live streaming nearby. The camera happened to pan over. The bullet comments were all spamming. "Why is this fruit so expensive?" When it was time to check out, those shop owners all swarmed over, scrambling to pay. Brother Daluo and the hundreds of thousands of viewers in his live stream were completely stunned. I even specifically told them not to argue. Just settle a little at each store. The cashier supervisor asked whether I wanted delivery. I told them to deliver it directly. By the time we got to the car, those business owners were still following us the whole way. As we walked, they kept crying poor and begging me to pay them back a little money first. I didn't beat around the bush with them either. I laid it all out plainly. If you want your money back, we have to get the whole group back on its feet first. Otherwise, we're all headed for a dead end. After hearing that, they could only nod. They accepted that logic. Then we headed to the cosmetics section. To put it simply, right now I'm slowly building up my own perspective and bearing. Real upper-class people aren't made by pretending. The difference between a nouveau riche and the upper class lies in all these little details. I have to force myself to get used to this position first. Those few business owners were pretty tactful too. They trailed along from a distance. Outwardly, they said they were buying gifts for their wives and daughters. But everyone understood. They were really just waiting to pay the bill again at any moment. But this time, we weren't planning to spend their money again. When we got to the Dior counter, we tried on lipstick and eyebrow pencils ourselves. She was testing shades in front of the mirror. Just then, Hua Jun came over with his wife, son, and daughter. The moment that old bastard opened his mouth, he was being disgusting again. He asked me in a sarcastic tone why I had come here. When I saw that his whole family was here, my face instantly turned cold. Shopping. Don't talk to me. But he still didn't know when to stop and kept being disgusting. He said I'd been put under restrictions on high spending. He even threatened to report me. I blew up on the spot. I turned around and cursed at him. I'm just out shopping happily, and I can't be bothered with you. You had to come over and act disgusting? I didn't hold anything back at all. Huabing getting mocked for endorsing GRM was your own damn fault. Yida losing the bid to me was because you didn't have the money. If you're unhappy, go back and take it out on your wife. Don't come looking to die in front of me. Hua Jun's 24-year-old son, Huan, immediately jumped out and started cursing at me when he heard that. I went straight up and kicked him right in the lower abdomen. He flew 3 or 4 meters away on the spot. Seeing his son getting beaten, Hua Jun immediately rushed over with fists flying. I spun around and delivered another kick. In one swift move, I knocked down him, his wife, and their daughter. The entire family of 4 ended up sprawled on the floor. From a distance, a few bosses noticed the commotion and quickly ran over to ask what happened. I casually shrugged it off with one sentence. Nothing serious. Hua Jun and his family from Ihua Entertainment acted up, so I taught them a lesson. Hearing this, those bosses collectively gasped in shock. Lin Taiyan even whispered to me, asking if I wanted to leave first, offering to cover for me. But I just laughed it off. I'm not afraid of Chonghui Group. Why would I fear some entertainment mogul? With that, I acted like nothing had happened. When she finished paying, I wrapped an arm around her, continuing to browse other counters. Elsewhere, Hua Jun, after recovering, immediately called his henchman, Zhang Hao, instructing him to bring some men to SKP to properly entertain me. This Zhang Hao had once been in the Golden Triangle and later saved Hua Jun's life. Now he was a bodyguard/thug, kept on the payroll by Hua Jun for a hefty price. It didn't take long before Zhang Hao arrived with more than 20 guys in tow. Hua Jun pointed at me and signaled for them to handle it however they wanted. He wanted to take his family and leave first. But just as he was about to go, Shuehai called. Shuehai was fairly polite. He said he hoped Hua Jun would do him a favor and stop pestering me. Right now, so many creditors were waiting for me to make money to pay off the debt. As soon as Hua Jun heard that, he blew up. He said his entire family had been pinned to the ground and beaten by me, and there was no way this could just be let go. Shuehai's tone immediately turned stern. If you really dare lay a hand on him, not only will you not be able to survive in the capital, you won't have anywhere to stand in the entire Dragon Nation. Then he hung up directly. But that was not the end. After that, Zhao Kuan, ICBC, Bank of Communications, ABC, and CCB's presidents called Hua Jun one after another. The message was exactly the same. Don't touch me. Otherwise, bear the consequences yourself. By this point, Hua Jun finally truly understood. I may be a takeover sucker, but I can make money. And these creditors now cared most about this money-making machine of mine. Whoever touched me was making an enemy of them. So in the end, Hua Jun could only grit his teeth and stop Zhang Hao. He had everyone pull back. Huan still refused to accept it on the spot and asked why. What else could Hua Jun do? He could only grit his teeth and lead the whole family away in disgrace. The onlookers finally saw it all clearly. Just moments ago, Hua Jun had looked like he was ready to go all out against me. But after taking a few phone calls, he immediately backed down. Put simply, this proved one thing. The connections backing me were far deeper and far stronger than they had imagined. This time, Hua Jun's family had completely lost face. By the time they got back to the underground parking garage, Huan was still pressing him for answers. In the end, Hua Jun had no choice but to tell the truth. The chairman of the urban construction company and the heads of all 5 major banks called to back me. They couldn't afford to offend them. Only then did Huan finally lose his temper. But anyone could see that the anger in his heart just could not be swallowed. What was even more infuriating was that the whole thing had already spread through the circle. Yida Air Wang Tianming, Guangxin Air Wang He, Fashion Media Air Lu Xiaolong, Times Pioneer Entertainment Air Li Tian, and Happy Times Entertainment Air Chan Song all sent Hu in WeChat messages one after another, asking him whether it was true that his whole family had been beaten up at SKP. For someone like Hu En, that was even more unbearable than getting hit. What he lost wasn't just face, but the image he had built in the entire circle. And right at that moment, Hua Jun told him to go to the airport to pick up Park Young-guk. Park Young-guk's purpose in coming to Longwa this time was very clear. There were only two. First, get Li Un-hai and the others out. Second, beat me hard. He also brought quite a force with him. Lawyers, bodyguards, and even 4 professional assassins. The plan was simple too. If he could get Li Un-hai and the others out, then I'd be sent to the hospital to lie low for a while. If he couldn't get them out, then I'd just be killed outright. As soon as Hua En heard the 4 words, revenge on Yang Chun, his eyes lit up. To put it bluntly, the thing he most wanted to see right now was me getting into trouble. So on the surface, he was extremely enthusiastic, taking Park Jong-guk all over the place, running around Beijing and Haicheng. It looked like he was trying to pull strings to get people released. In reality, behind the scenes, he was pulling strings to have people beat Li Un-hai hard. This guy was plenty shady too. He did spend quite a bit of money. In the end, though, not a single person was released. Chen Shi and I played around in Beijing for a few more days. The night before heading back to Jiangqing, I took her to a little street shop to buy souvenirs for Zhao Jing and the others. There were quite a few young girls in that shop. But the moment I walked in, I felt that something was off. As soon as he walked in, I could tell at a glance that he was a trained fighter. I casually activated mind reading. Sure enough, he was here for me. Before I could think any further, 3 more came in right after him. All assassins. And they were approaching me in 2 separate groups. My heart turned cold all at once. Damn, they really dared to come. This bunch was dead set on killing me. Without saying a word, I immediately picked up Chun Shi and flashed behind the checkout counter. Then I reached out and grabbed the cashier by the throat, shouting, "Robbery!" The moment I yelled it, everyone in the store panicked instantly. Customers and staff alike rushed out in a frenzy. In the blink of an eye, the entire shop was empty. Only Chun Shi, me, and those 4 assassins were left. Only then did I let go of the cashier. Staring at them, I asked directly, "Who sent you?" I was asking out loud, but in truth, mind reading had already given me the answer. I let her go and pressed for who had sent them, confirming through mind reading that it was Park Jong-guk. They drew knives and rushed at me. I grabbed a pen, kicked over a shelf, stabbed the 2 on the right first, then kicked down the shelf on the left to block the way, rushed in and stabbed the throats of the remaining 2. Chun, she suddenly picked up a pot of boiling water and splashed it at the last 2 men. I seized the chance to finish them all off. She stepped up to check my injuries, and I told her they were sent by GRM. After the police arrived, they ruled it self-defense, and Zhao Kuan brought people to take me back to the hotel. On the way, I judged that the killers had backup. The next day, Zhao Kuan told me the men had been rescued, but said nothing else. I went to the hospital and learned through mind reading that Zhang Hao was in charge of arranging the escape to the Golden Triangle, and that the mastermind was Hua Jun. Zhao Kuan took Chun Shi and me to the airport. I had Chun Chao short Ihua Entertainment and borrowed 460 million shares. Hua Jun was on the phone with Park Jong-guk, and the latter was still putting up a brave front, while Hua Jun was already panicking. The next day at the opening bell, Ihua Entertainment plunged straight down at 10:10. Mr. Ma called to plead on behalf of others, but I told him flat out that I intended to short it until it was delisted. Mr. Ma brought up the debt 4 Seas Sports owed, and just as I was about to pay it back, I found that amusing instead. To everyone else, that debt was trouble, but to me it was a system reward. I directly refused, saying that 4 Seas Sports and 4 Seas Investment were separate companies and I couldn't come up with the money. Just after I hung up, the system shoved the formula for the enhanced vitality liquid and a USB drive into my pocket. Mr. Ma still wasn't giving up and tried to persuade me to transfer the money from 4 Seas Investment to. As soon as 4 Seas Sports opened his mouth, he said, as long as I stopped shorting Ihua immediately, he could postpone the debt collection. Without another word, I shot back. Unless I'm dead, Ihua has to be delisted. The other side even sent assassins. If I let this go, would I still be a man? Chairman Ma stayed silent for 2 seconds, then immediately dumped all his shares without leaving a single one. The stock price hit the limit down in seconds, and Hua Jun panicked, personally calling to question him. I asked him about teaming up with Park Jong-guk to send assassins, and he still tried to play dumb. I laughed and hung up, then blocked him. Hua Jun turned around and went to curse Park Jong-guk, and Park Jong-guk shifted the blame onto Zhang Hao. After cursing him out, Hua Jun hung up, and Park Jong-guk immediately threw the whole pot back onto Hua Jun's head. Right after that, he exposed it. Hua Jun had spent a huge sum to hire assassins from South Korea. Hua Jun was so anxious he was jumping up and down. Celebrity shareholding increases were useless, so he had no choice but to personally throw in 500 million yuan to save the market. As soon as he finished speaking, the Secretary General rushed in. Hua Jun had hired killers to assassinate Yang Chun. Once the news broke, the stock price fell straight back to the limit down. She handed me the news report. After I finished reading it, I felt ecstatic. Dogs biting dogs. Perfect for me to keep shorting. I told the whole thing in the creditor group, and Shuehai, Li Jun, and the others immediately stood up to defend me. Taking the opportunity, I said I needed to lay low for a while, turned off my phone, and stayed in a small hotel. In truth, I wasn't really hiding. I was just shifting all the pressure onto the Beijing City Public Security Bureau. Mayor Huang, Shuehai, and the others all demanded that the case be filed. Park Jong-guk then ran off to bribe those 4 assassins again, telling them to insist Hua Jun was the mastermind. After the police obtained their statements, they filed the case that very night. The next day at the opening, Ihua hit the limit down by 1 word, at 0.77 yuan, with 8 million hands of sell orders sealed on the board. I stared at the screen and shouted in my heart. So satisfying. I deliberately let She be discovered by Zhao Jing and the others. The bank president and the creditors came in a mighty procession to the hotel to bring me back to Sihai. The boss refunded the deposit, and I got into Wang Wenkang's car and headed back to the company. Zhao Jing and the others came to apologize, and I took the opportunity to ask them to wear black stockings and dance seductively at night. The 5 women agreed without a second thought. Chen Chao reported, the 5 major banks had exchanged 1.85 billion Eagle coins into 13.32 billion Dragon coins, which had arrived in the account. I immediately ordered. Customers whose wealth management products had matured could redeem both principal and interest in full. Each person also received a celebratory short video, and the 12.35 billion in principal and interest was quickly wiped out. Sihai's official WeChat account also took the opportunity to speak out, and its reputation began to improve. Then I had Chen Chao use the 500 million euro coins given by the 5 major banks to short the DAX, 400 million for opening short positions, and 100 million held in reserve. Chen Chao reminded me of the regulatory risk, and I told him to execute according to plan. At noon, Yang Min came to report on the effects of the medication. From B to D in half a month. I made the call on the spot to have her endorse Sihai Shengbei pills. As soon as she left, Zhao Jing and the others ran into her and were so jealous their eyes turned green. Then they rushed into the office and demanded to take Shengbei pills too. I said casually, she doesn't need them. She's just right the way she is now, and one hand is just enough to hold her. Halfway through the sentence, I realized what I'd said and quickly changed it to say I was estimating by eye. Zhao Jing and the others instantly caught the keywords and pressed me, asking whether she had failed to keep herself in check while on a business trip. She blushed as she stole a glance at me, silently admitting it. I scanned the thoughts of the 5 of them. Zhao Jing wanted to be the main wife, Gao Ye was fighting for second place, and Huang Wei had already planned to butter up Shi. At that moment, Shi answered the phone. The LG delegation wanted to meet me. Chui Zaishi went straight for the South Korean agency rights to Sihai slimming pills. I got straight to the point. An agency fee of 200 million Eagle coins, or 100 million plus taking out Park Jong-guk. Chui Zaishi thought it was too expensive, so I changed my tune and offered the agency rights for free, with the supply price at 898 and a retail price of 1288. They were not allowed to resell to other countries, and every male in Park Jong-guk's family had to be wiped out. After consulting Gu Guangzhu, Chui Zaishi agreed to the deal. On the other side, Huan poured 500 million into bailing out Ihua, pushing its stock price from 0.5 to 0.74. It announced that its holdings would be increased to 67% within 6 months. I had already decided to continue shorting it. The promotion for The One Who Disappeared kicked off. Yang Min made an entrance in a deep V dress, and all the reporters asked about her body changes. She followed my instructions. She had been taking Sihai Shengrui pills for half a month. After the official announcement, once the video and medical report came out, the entire internet exploded with trending searches. The female market was directly nailed down. I directly rejected Huang Min, and the system rewarded me with all of Ihua's Inyang contracts. With the key in hand, I took Shi to ICBC and opened the safe deposit box. A whole box of contracts lay before my eyes. Hua Bing's 30 million yuan appearance fee was only reported as 10 million, and Huang De's 50 million yuan appearance fee was only reported as 10 million. I flipped to the last page and couldn't help exclaiming in my heart. Yihua was definitely doomed this time. In a co-produced film, Yida only gave Chrysanthemum and Peach Blossom a very low number of screenings. Huan scolded me on Weibo for suppressing it. On the first day, word of mouth came out, and the missing she completely overwhelmed Chrysanthemum and Peach Blossom. Women's platforms quickly pushed it onto the trending list. The next day, theaters automatically increased screenings of The Missing She and cut Chrysanthemum and Peach Blossom. Huan kept accusing me of using my status as a shareholder to suppress it. Huang Min called to ask me to bring back Sihai Entertainment, but I refused. I told her not to even think about that 180 million. The system rewarded me with all of Yihua's shadow contracts again. I got the key to the ICBC safe deposit box. After the contracts were exposed, the media focused on exposing the Inyang contracts involved by Huabing, Huangde, and others. The amount of tax evasion was crystal clear. Yihua's stock price went from limit up to limit down, and even Hua and's increased holdings couldn't save it. Theaters urgently pulled Chrysanthemum and Peach Blossom from screening, and the other investors demanded 450 million in compensation. Huan cursed me for being ruthless, and I directly hung up. The Economic Crime Investigation Unit and the tax authorities had already stepped in. I went in and never came out again. Almost all those shadow contracts passed through his hands. In order to gain credit and reduce his sentence, Zhang Hao confessed everything about Huan's involvement in plotting my murder. Huan was officially placed under investigation. The other investors feared trouble if this dragged on, and immediately applied to freeze all of Yihua's assets. A claim for 450 million was filed, and the court froze the assets first. Yihua's stock price stayed below 1 yuan for 20 straight days, triggering a face value delisting. The last transaction price was only 0.12 yuan. I bought back 460 million shares at 0.12 yuan to return them to the broker. Entered at 1.56 yuan, made 1.44 yuan per share, and after fees netted 656 million yuan. In 1 month, Yihua went from a giant to delisting and frozen assets, just one step away from bankruptcy. News came from South Korea. GRM chairman Park Young-guk and his 2 sons died in a self-driving car plunge off a cliff. The police ruled it an accident. I knew LG had taken care of it. The X-Files has grossed over 3.2 billion yuan in 21 days, with a final prediction of 3.5 billion yuan. Sihai Entertainment can distribute about 800 million yuan, and there are still overseas, online, and TV rights to come. Damamin finished her promotion and went to the Sihai Health livestream room that night to talk about her breast enhancement experience. The host was Chun Shi, and Yang Min's outfit was mine. Damn. I deliberately picked an outfit that showed off my figure, and as soon as I appeared on camera, the comments went crazy. Damn. The moment the live stream started, it was almost blown apart. Right from the start, Chun Shi asked the most brutal question. She said, those breast enhancement drugs on the market basically rely on massive doses of estrogen to force results, so how bad are the side effects? Really? Yang Min wasn't vague at all. With a swipe, she directly pulled out physical exam reports from 3 top-tier hospitals. The reports were laid out there clearly, and the estrogen levels were as normal as could be. Chun Shi then pressed further about the underlying principle. Yang Min then followed the script I had set in advance. She said that Sihai Shangbei pills were not hormone supplements at all. They directly caused mammary cells to undergo a second round of development. As soon as that was said, the bullet comments instantly went out of control. The doctors understood, and so did the researchers. Who could have imagined that if this breast enhancement pill really worked on that principle, it would be about far more than just making things bigger. Delaying aging, turning back the clock, male secondary development, those phrases were all suddenly dragged into the conversation. Someone shouted on the spot that they would sell everything they had to buy it. Even more outrageous, some people had already started imagining me winning the Nobel Prize. When Yang Min saw the direction of the discussion drifting a bit too far, she quickly pulled it back. She hastily said not to overthink it, it was just an ordinary breast enhancement pill, and it only acted on the mammary glands. Chun Shi casually added another blow. She said that any institution could study it if they wanted, but anyone who exaggerated its effects would bear the consequences themselves. As soon as the live stream ended, Li Dapeng from the Plant Research Institute of the Lonka Academy of Sciences was the first to lose patience and immediately called Hua Haiping. On Hua Haiping's side, the moment he heard the 4 words, cell proliferation, his expression changed on the spot, and he directly told Li Dapeng to release the stock and snatch it first. On the Life Sciences Institute side, Zhou Haixia also immediately called Li Rend. Li Rend had originally still been a bit resentful toward me, but as soon as he heard this principle, his attitude changed instantly, and he immediately instructed Zhou Haixia to rush for the stock. Not just them. Other experts had also locked onto this live stream. One by one, those old foxes and cunning veterans were all waiting for the stock to be released. To put it plainly, everyone understood that if this thing were really dismantled and analyzed, its value would be impossible to estimate. Yang Min delivered all the messages that needed to be passed on, then withdrew from the scene as planned. I gave her flowers and put my coat over her shoulders. I also casually handed her Lu Sihui's invitation contract. After reading it, she happily signed it. On Chun Shi's side, the livestream selling products sold out 1,000 boxes in an instant. 2,998 per box. After this wave, the reputation started recovering on the spot. After the livestream ended, I took them home to cash in on the bet. The box office for The Invisible Guest had already exceeded 3.2 billion, so now they had to follow the agreement made earlier. Every morning and evening, taking turns kissing me. At night, after they finished showering, the 6 women, dressed in black stockings, lined up one by one to kiss me. I was genuinely satisfied watching that. Kissing alone wasn't enough, so I made them do black stocking hot dances too. Early the next morning, they still lined up as usual to offer me kisses. To put it plainly, my little life had finally completely turned around. By 9:15, I went to the Sihai investment department. Chun Chao reported to me that people outside now wanted to entrust their wealth to us for management. Some wanted me to help boost the stock price to save the shell, and others wanted to jam my influence to cash out and run. After hearing that, I directly set the rules in stone. No touching funds of unclear origin. Those who wanted to drive up the price and cash out, also no deal. At 10 o'clock, I went back to the top floor. Started writing the third screenplay, One Jiangxing's Richest Man/I. Meanwhile, the Lonka Academy and the Life Sciences Academy had already started dismantling the 4C's Shangbei pills. In the end, after 3 straight days and nights of fussing over it, they still got stuck on the very last unknown ingredient. They simply couldn't get past it. Hua Haiping went to find Li Rend to discuss it. In the end, the 2 sides decided to invite me and Tu Yuyun as honorary academicians, and privately grant us the same year as formal academicians. At that time, Yu Lei from JD also led a team to Jiangqing. He opened with 4 billion, wanting to seize the dual agency rights for the Shangbei pills. The online testing reports also began spreading everywhere. Consumers were pushing, and distributors were pushing too. The 4C's customer service hotline was directly overwhelmed. At noon, the official announcement was released. At 8 p.m. on September 6th at Jiangqing State Guest Hotel, a global agency rights auction would be held. Then Chun Shi came to report. She said that people from Changxing Group had arrived, people from the Nobel Prize Committee had also arrived, as well as the Lonka Academy President's delegation, Tu Yun and Vice Mayor Wang, all of them were here. So I brought all of them into the small conference room together. The first to speak was Gillis Lutz. He said he wanted to give me this year's Nobel Prize in Medicine. As soon as I heard that, I shook my head without hesitation. Rejected. He didn't beat around the bush either and got straight to the point. He said that if I wanted the award, I had to make the synthesis method of polyoxyethylene onion in public, and also make the patent freely available. I laughed when I heard that. I asked him back, "Get the award?" "Sure. What's the price?" To put it bluntly, these people were still using the same old routine. The award is yours, the fame is yours, and you hand over the thing. They could pressure honest people, but trying to pressure me? They were really overthinking it. I told him directly that I wasn't interested in the Nobel Prize. I'm just a businessman. When Roberts Jonathan saw the situation wasn't right, he hurried out to distance himself from it. He said they had just happened to be there together, and even urged me to put the greater good of more people first. I just said one thing in response. If Xinjiang is really that noble, then you should all open up all your patents for free first. Once you do that, I'll consider it. He shut up on the spot. Jiruots took out his phone again and showed it to me. The implication was that the media had already started dropping hints, and the outside world was all expecting me to win another award. I didn't even look. I only said one thing. The invention is mine and I make the decisions. Seeing that this route was a dead end, he changed his terms again. He said he could use the patent for a strong sound infant formula to trade with me for the process and patent for polyonion. I shot back at him directly. Your patents mean no one else can develop them. But my patent, you just want to take it away and study it. Do you think I'd agree to a deal like that? When that didn't work, he said he could pay for it and told me to name my price. I was just as blunt. Not for sale. I only sell distribution rights. That made his face turn completely cold. He tossed out one last line. I hope you won't regret this. Then he turned and left. The group from the Nobel Review Committee left with him. As soon as they were gone, Li Ren immediately changed his tune. He directly invited me and Tu Yuyun to become honorary academicians of the Dragon Science Institute. I thanked him, but I wasn't interested in being an academician either. Tu Yuyun was even more straightforward. She laughed and shook her head too. Li Ren's expression turned green on the spot. Hua Haiping was still reasonably tactful and took a step back, asking whether we could cooperate on research. I flatly turned them down. You're not qualified. At that, the whole group could only leave in disgrace. By afternoon, the online public opinion had indeed started to turn. All the self-media accounts were slamming me for being profit-driven, saying I had rejected the Nobel Prize and refused to open up the patents. One look and I understood. This was the old foxes from Chongqing starting to steer the narrative. I wasn't idle either. I immediately had Chongqing buy back all of Chongqing's infant and toddler products and send them for testing. Then I had Zhao Jing and the others transfer 5 billion Eagle currency to accounts over in White Eagle. After that, I called Chun Chao and told him to use the money to short Chongqing. Not long after, Chongqing called me back again. He said that group of creditors had come and started demanding repayment. After hearing that, I told him to bring everyone to the conference room. When I went over there, I immediately sensed something was off. Today, not a single one of those creditors was missing. They were all here. I asked them with a smile, "Did Chongqing send you here?" I read their minds again, and sure enough, the answer was exactly what I thought. I simply had those creditors stay in the conference room a while longer. I only arranged for security guards to keep an eye on them and not let them wander around. After saying that, I went back to my office to organize the formulas the system had rewarded me with. Once I had sorted them out, I handed them directly to Chongshang and told him to start mass production right away. Outwardly, the move was aimed squarely at Chongqing. At that moment, Chongqing's vice president, Roberts Jonathan, called me. Right off the bat, he wanted to talk cooperation. I turned him down outright. Seeing that the soft approach wouldn't work, he switched to threats, trying to scare me with frozen assets. I just told him one thing. If he had the guts, he should let the creditors go ask the court themselves. I left that bunch of creditors hanging around all day. When they finally got out, they were all muttering and cursing. Jonathan told them to hurry up and sue me, but they weren't dumb. These creditors were usually fierce enough, but when it came time to choose sides, each one was more shrewd than the last. They were afraid of offending one side, and afraid of offending the other, so in the end none of them dared to make a real move. Jonathan cursed them as idiots. In the end, when those creditors realized that Chongqing was using them as cannon fodder and even threatening them, they panicked immediately. They came back to me to apologize. I didn't hold back either and laid down my conditions right away. You film a video and publicly denounce Chongqing. As long as you do as I say, I'll protect you. As soon as they heard that, they agreed immediately. That night, I took 6 women to the wine pool and meat forest, and we played until midnight. 5 days later, Chun Chao's side had finished setting up all the short positions. I used 4 billion in capital to short Chongqing, and kept another 1 billion in reserve. Meanwhile, Chongqing CEO Valiniani urged Jonathan to counterattack immediately. Soon, Zhou Haiyang posted a statement online. The statement was pretty disgusting. It said that I had rejected the patent swap proposed by Chongqing, and had even used 4 billion Eagle dollars to short the Chongqing group. Between the lines, it portrayed me as a profiteer and asset mover. They even deliberately tried to drag the regulatory investigation into it. As soon as the statement came out, they started frantically buying traffic and hiring paid trolls. The topic was instantly pushed to the trending list. The whole screen was full of people cursing me, saying I didn't know what was good for me, saying I had sent money to the White Eagle stock market. I didn't take it seriously at all. At that time, I was leaning back in my executive chair. Well, would you look at that, I was eating grapes while munching on watermelon too. Wang Wenkong was pacing anxiously beside me. I patted him on the shoulder and told him not to panic. Captain Chun from the Municipal Bureau had already locked down the troll nest. Sure enough, just over half an hour later, the Beijing police issued a direct notice. The Chaoyang side raided the troll farm company, seizing all 5,000 phones. Chongsheng paid to hire trolls for hype, and now the hard evidence has been nailed down. Seeing the timing was right, I made the call on the spot, put out all of Li Lianqing's videos and hit the traffic hard for me. On Chongqing's side, throw out the test report showing Chongsheng's talcum powder contains asbestos. On Tu Yuyun's side, release the video from the Nobel Prize ceremony as well. With this coordinated barrage, public opinion flipped overnight. Netizens stormed straight into Chongsheng's comments section and started blasting. By the end, the comments section was forced shut. Zhou Haiyang was also taken away. The customer service hotline was bombarded. The issue of talcum powder causing cancer had completely blown up. By the time the White Eagle stock market opened, Changsheng's share price plunged 20% right away. Vareniani went berserk on the spot and tore into Jonathan in a fury. But even at this point, those shareholders were still fantasizing about increasing their holdings, deleting posts, and controlling public opinion. Su Min ran all over the platforms doing PR. In the end, she was turned away at every door. As for my side, I told Miller not to rush into damage control for now. Just throw in another 4 billion Eagle dollars and keep shorting Changsheng. If any platform can still hold up, then keep pushing it to 100 million. At that moment, Su Min's secretary rushed in again, shouting. He said 4Cs had released more evidence. Changsheng baby skincare oil contained paraffin oil, which is carcinogenic. Valiniani was furious and went to scold RD again. Su Min could only explain that in the past, Longwa standards were lax, so nothing had ever happened. Now everything was blowing up at once. Even more outrageous, the news spread faster than I had expected. The Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal all ran the story at the same time. Only then did Changsheng react. I wasn't just setting fires in Longwa. I was directly setting the fire at their own doorstep. On White Eagle's home turf, a brand simply could not tolerate this kind of stain. Huirue and Merck immediately jumped on the bandwagon, claiming it was carcinogenic too. The Wall Street institutions were even more ruthless, immediately joining forces to short it. They even dug up ironclad proof that Changsheng had known as early as 1960 that its products contained asbestos, yet had concealed it all along. Law firms also began gathering investors for a class action lawsuit. Retail investors, seeing this kind of momentum, dumped their shares in a frenzy. The stock price from 225 was smashed all the way down to 160. Our paper profit had already exceeded 60 per share. But I knew perfectly well that still wasn't enough. It was nowhere near enough. I had Changsheng go again to find the parents whose children had used JJ's carcinogenic products and get the authorization signed. Then I had Sihai Legal file the lawsuits directly. Seeing this, Huirue and Merck followed suit and launched actions simultaneously in their own markets. Lawsuits, negative news, public opinion, short selling, all came crashing down from multiple directions at once. JJ's stock kept plunging. By this point, the outcome had actually already been decided. I was bound to win, and JJ was bound to lose. But I knew better than anyone. Beating the opponent to the ground only counted as half the job done. The other half was to seize the market and the users while they were down.